What's up, everybody? Happy Friday, and welcome back to the Paladins Premier League. It's going to be a fun one. If you didn't catch yesterday or missed Gormiser's recap, here's a recap for you. It was a very fast 4-0. The Knights on top of the Renegades. The Renegades, of course, have another shot today up against Envy. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm Dolson. Joining me on the desk for today is none other than Gormiser. It's going to be a fun one, Gore. Yesterday, little rough for the Renegades, but a shot to bounce back against Envy today.
I think Jag Falls, it was their best map because it was the 4-3, right? They definitely look like there's still the essence there, right? And it's just getting to the point where that essence is consistent, I think, is their biggest issue.
Yep.
And luckily for them, Envy have had some consistency issues this year. We had that brief stint in Phase 1 where they just weren't really showing up the way we would expect a prior world champion to show up, but they seem like they've gotten that under wraps.
Right.
So this is going to be kind of the question of who can really climb up to the top.
Well, and if you look at kind of the landscape of the Premier League as a whole, this gets a little scary if you're the Renegades, because it seems like literally every team in the league is improving. I mean, even the Knights down there at 6-13, have shown such strides in becoming a generally better team. Virtus Pro, of course, revamping their roster. They'll have some great games here in a couple of weeks, or maybe even next week. I think they got Navi and NIP here in a couple of weeks, so we'll get to test their mettle. But looking at the standings, 3-16 for the Renegade. You got to turn this around soon.
Yeah, so there's no way to sugarcoat it that there was pretty much no way out of the end of this phase for Renegades to climb up. But
yeah, I think
they came in, they came in at negative 40. And then at the end of week 1, I believe, we're negative 39. They only were able to climb up a little bit, but it was impressive to see them get those wins.
Yep.
But when you look at it, at the end of phase 1, 6th and 7th was a huge gap. And there's still a bit of a map differential between Kanga and the Knights, but all of a sudden the score lines are starting to look a lot easier. The plus minuses are still separate, but you're going, I think it was 6-13 there. And it's just if they keep on this stride, they're going forward. Renegades, that 3 they have looked awesome, and it's just not showing up every week. The only one that does show up is the guy on your screen right now. Yeah,
and Vocal, kind of the consistent positive KDA regardless of the situation around him, and sort of a point to make moving into chatting about Invocal is that, even the games that the Renegades had lost towards the end of the last split, you saw so many 4-2s, 4-3s, so many close score lines set-wise. And their losses this split have all been 4-0s, and it's or 4-1. They haven't been as close as we're used to seeing them lose. In Vocal, though, about as consistent as you can find in this league. The Renegades leaned on him heavily, put him on the Bomb King even. He's a direct damage dealer, but toss him on the BK. He looks good, and they'll need him to perform today just as any other day.
So I think the biggest testament to Invocal and his strengths as a player is that in losing games, he will still, I would say half the time at least, or most of the time, come out with a 2.0 KDA.
Yeah.
And that's when they're losing. When they're winning, he can max it out. He could get 3.0, 4.0. He can go undying in some of those games. And it's just one of those things, if you look at him, I just want to know what he can do when the rest of the team is playing at the level he is. When Shadow's up there with him, and again, all 5 of them have it. The problem is you're going up against 5 guys who admittedly are kind of the opposite. They don't have their days where they're great. They have their days, they're almost consistently great, and days where maybe they aren't quite feeling it. Envy are very, very top tier.
Well, you talk about the potential in Invocal, but the potential for Envy as a whole is kind of a great word to describe the team. They have the potential. Last time we watched Envy, they beat NIP. Don't forget, that was last week. The last Envy game we were able to watch, they beat NIP, the only team who's beaten NIP twice, one of only 2 teams who have beaten them in general. Rock Monkey plays a huge role in all of those games, the same as Invocal does on the opposite side. It's the direct damage, the consistent direct damage that he's able to do, the Rock Monkey effect, as I like to call it.
And I think you'll actually, one of the biggest differences is, not every single game are you going to see Rock Monkey be the big impact, right? Invocal is going to have a great game every single game, but that honestly is also in comparison to the rest of the Renegades. Rock Monkey doesn't have to be the carry, but he is so hard on himself when he is not the player. When he feels like he's not doing his job right, he doubles down. And that's kind of when you start to see the tilt into the screen as you watch his player cam over time. It's just when he gets zoned in, he becomes more deadly. So the longer the set goes, or the better he's doing maybe early on, you have maybe some chances to trip him up. But if you start off winning, he is the most dangerous guy on Envy because he will just be furious with himself for not performing. And it's very similar to actually what we've seen out of Shadow on the other side. We do not want to lose this here. We do not want to lose this now. We have to deal with it in any way possible. And so he shoulders the burden.
And if you look at kind of the split-wide implications of all these sorts of games, I mean, at the end of this week, we're a third of the way there. We're a third of the way to Worlds. So these teams need to start maybe kind of getting their bell curve in the right spot, peaking at the right time. Of course, our one set of the day, Envy Renegades, is going to be a fun one. No Frog Isle, no Timber Mill, no Frozen Guard, no Warder's Gate. Not super surprising in there.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun one. Maybe Bright Marsh becomes I expect to see some Bright Marsh at some point. I can't put my finger on if Envy are good on Bright Marsh or not because I feel like I've seen them lose on Bright Marsh, but also kind of crush other teams on Bright Marsh.
So
it's a weird balance.
They chose it twice this split so far, but in the times the 4 sets they've had, there's been a Bright Marsh every set. They've lost every single Bright Marsh game that they've gone into. So Bright Marsh is not looking like the best one, but it is going to be Stone Keep, which is kind of it's a very Renegades strong pick. Although both of these teams do have like a good history on it so far. I think the biggest thing is going to be, this early game control and the ban phase.
They're going to already target out the Willow here. Maybe a shadow-centric ban, maybe indicating what they want to pick later on. Frontline control so important in this matchup. Rubu, Toki, 2 very confident, very consistent players. And then you look at the Renegades on the opposite side. You have Hero, you have Moonchopper, and they're kind of a sponge of the way the game is going. Like, if the game is super lopsided, the Renegades are getting crushed oftentimes. Like maybe that's just a frontliner symptom. Like, if your team's kind of getting wiped, you tend to as well. But they have a tough matchup today going up against Tulki and Rubu, 2 of the most consistent frontliners in this week.
And this one's going to come down to how well they can handle it. I mean, after talking to the Knights yesterday for their post-game interview, it kind of reveals a lot. Like, Zarini is just commanding when he's on the objective. And that's one of the things, like, the European teams specifically have brought. Envy was able to match Na'Vi last year at that kind of style and that kind of control. But this year, again, there's been a little bit of inconsistencies with it coming from them. And I feel like because it's more just NA matchup when it comes down to where these players are from, how they kind of learn their styles of play, Renegades are probably going to feel a lot more comfortable against Envy as a team. And honestly, when they get in that mindset of like, you know what, it doesn't matter if we win or lose, like we're comfortable here, that's when Renegades are really good. It's just there's a lot of pressure that they put on themselves, and right now, like I just saw Hero laughing right before this. It feels like they maybe are a little more relaxed as he smiles into the camera. Like those are the moments, that's when Renegades can look fantastic.
Yeah, it's the relaxed, nothing to lose, let's just go out and give it our best showing.
I mean, literally nothing to lose. You're never going to get past 8th place right now.
That's true. You're right. It's only up from here. Time to experiment, time to try to get better. They went Victor Cassie yesterday. Envy is going to take that Cassie away with Ash Barrack flanking on the pick chart there. Strong first 3 from Envy. You give Maeve over to the Renegades. Khan, Inara, Genos, Maeve are their first 4. Nothing bad about a little extra damage amp. Genos with the pick potential. Viral's a guy that can do it as well. Through time and space can kind of turn fights around.
It's probably one of the best things. Renegades, though, they actually they do tend to win a little bit with Genos. It's not like, again, just for this split, it's leaning a little bit over like the 62% mark for him, but it's just good for Viral. They have a few picks that they just like gravitate towards. Not many of them are successful, but Genos does get to be one of those. So it's a good sign for them, but the problem is you get Rock Monkey on Cassie, you get Random Noob on Eevee. Like, you get some very good comfort picks here for Envy.
Not to mention Toki on Barrack, Rubu on Ash, and Hayes on Damba. I mean, that is a comfort lineup. That is good home cooking there for Envy. All 5 of them they'll feel happy with, they'll feel comfortable with. Not that the Renegades won't on the opposite side, but that is a very Envy, let's just be comfortable in game number 1. Yep. Nothing flashy, and I think it works.
The thing that's always interesting to me is, again, just looking at the trends of this phase, seeing Envy go for Ash first screams like we know like she's going to be great for us. Out of the 8 games they've played, they've lost all but 2 of them. They've only won 2 games with their Ash picks lately. So looking at potentially Rubu really to kind of showcase what he can do here. Granted, they've had some pretty difficult matches, and this is probably the one they're going to be the most favored in. It's just not exactly the look you expect for a first pick.
Do you like Shaolin here?
I like Shaolin. I like Shaolin in general, and I think he's going to be good. I think he has a presence on this map in terms of his impact for stuns, as well as being able to maybe keep track of this EV, keep Cassie kind of locked down. And with a Luminary boost, he hits pretty hard.
That's true, and he's got lots of targets to hit. Ashe, Cassie, Barrack, EV, Damba. Like I said, I mean, that is tried and true. That is core Envy right there. Khan, Genos, Inara, Maeve, Shaolin. Renegades looking to bounce back 4-0 yesterday to the Knights. 0-0 right now as we head down into Stone Keep and your casters.
All right, guys, welcome. Thanks, everybody, so much for watching. Happy Friday. I'm a huge fan of Renegade's composition right here. I feel like the Inara, the Khan is really, really powerful. The Shaolin, a lot of people underestimate his damage, but he can definitely pump it out when he needs to.
Especially with the Luminary boost, doing 1150 every single arrow as long as you're connecting. But one of the things about Shaolin, kind of undersold, is that you have to be super consistent. With Cassie, with Leon, you have kind of a fallback. If you miss a shot or 2, it's okay. With Shaolin, if you miss an arrow, that's a very long downtime compared to them before you can get your next one off. So a lot of pressure on whoever will be playing the Shaolin. Looks like this game it will be Shadow. So a lot of pressure on him, but recurve will kind of make it a little bit easier to be consistent.
All right, yeah, standard talents right here. Nothing you will really see except for the Impulse. Now, Cassie can interchange between Big Game and Impulse, whichever it is that she chooses to do, but most people normally take Big Game. In this case, she wants to be able to have that blast shot to be able to control a lot more of these rooms around Stone Keep.
More of like an anti-flanker thing as well,
exactly.
Too, to deal with the Maeve and the Shock. I think you're going to be dueling them a little bit more.
Ooh.
Great start to the fight, though. Shadow finding an early pick on a random noob.
Yeah, that's going to mean a lot. Toki tries to see if he can get something going with Shadow. Tries to see if he can manage to find some type of kill. Doesn't find it, but the damage already. Shadow spicing it up just a little bit. Getting 2 kills already. Big damage coming out from Shaolin. And this is what I was talking about. You underestimate his damage just a little bit. You saw how immediately the people on Envy just got popped without any way of countering.
If I'm on Envy, I don't want to play Shadow on a bow character on this map after his performance on Cassie yesterday. They lost this map, but he looked unstoppable and random nuke connecting really good shots onto Vocal, forcing him back. But control on the keep side still in Renegades' favor. They have to give up the point now, but they have that surround set up to take this fight depending on who wants to strike first. Might be Renegades, and it is with Shadow finding another pick onto random nuke.
30% on the point for Team Envy. 75 for the Renegade. Shadow is really popping off on the Shaolin right now. Moonchopper and Vocal, both of them finding kills of their own onto Mr. Hayes and Toki as well, forcing Cassie, a.k.a. Rock Monkey, to back off behind that corner. The first point goes to Renegades on Stone Keep.
Yeah, Cassie's Scout is up, but it has 2 different ultimates it's going to have to counter here as well.
Right.
That's
Good
one
point.
thing about the Renegades lineup. Heat Haze and Midnight both want Scout to be used against them, so they can use one to bait out the other in the situation where it might be a little better. So they have a bit of a tactical advantage. Random is getting bullied super hard, and Vocal finds a pick on the side to make this offense look a little nicer for the Renegades. But this is kind of an uncontested stretch here on the ground. You're mostly going to get really close without it. But a stagger kill on Rubu, that's going to make things go a lot smoother as they go forward. This upper area is completely open.
Yeah, that's going to mean a lot for Moonchopper and the other flanks to be able to actually just control this bridge right here. Viral on the point with through time and space is there. Heat Haze, Midnight, Seismic Crash coming up soon with Overpower just being used. They do use the Scout, and exactly what you said. They forced one. Now Heat Haze and through time and space are available. Scout cannot counter the Heat Haze, so Shaolin's going to have a good time.
Overpower used a little bit early, so that now the staggered Ashe is back in right when they need to contest it. Ice Storm used with the DR from Maeve keeps her alive. Moonchopper dropping down to Peel as well, but they forgot randoms there. They have to turn and Vocal with a quick one, but 2 more quick ones going towards Envy. Assert Dominance used actually for them too, though, with 1:20 left, so they have time. Renegades do to get this refight settled, move back in, withdraw, stealth on that, saving Shadow too, but Envy looking really aggressive here. They don't want to give them that refight.
Yeah, Cassie at the top of the charts in terms of damage. Maeve and Shaolin following up just closely behind them. Vocal, Shadow. Now, we've been seeing them put in work through time and space. Does come through, does manage to snipe Rock Monkey. Very, very well done. The slash lines are all in the positive here for Renegades, with Hero being 0-0 and 2, but that doesn't mean that, of course, Inara is always a presence to be worried about.
Inara is doing Inara things.
Exactly.
Random's doing random things, connecting 2 quick ones onto Invocal. He has to back up, but things settling down. Dome Shield used on point just to buy time, and time's all Envy can really get with Random going down again on the side.
Yeah, and Vocal finding the kill is going to mean a lot for Renegades. Rubu now stuck behind this. just a statue. He has to find some way to sort of get out. The Dread Serpent comes through, try and fear wave. Some people don't know if it really connected, but Moonchopper find the kill on Rubu, and Vocal finding one on Rock Monkey. That tells me that Renegades is not only in control, but they're ready to fight.
Tolki's one tank that can contest the point here, but he's getting forced behind the statue at spawn. Random on the side. Tolki's going to have to drop really soon, but he doesn't have Dome Shield Midnight used, so he can't see exactly where Tolki is. Haste is going to have to follow those green numbers, but those are going to run out eventually. His shield use, he goes down. What tanks are going to contest the point? Ash maybe, but she's getting focused down super fast, and only DPS is left now. It's an inevitability that Renegades are going to convert this point.
Ooh, nice 2-0, quick 2-0 from Renegades. Haze, Seismic Crash, and Overpower are up for them. The Overpower is going to play a huge role. We saw it play a huge role before when Moonchopper managed to actually catch Rubu. When that Overpower went through, that meant a lot. You brought up a perfect point. Once that Ash is staggered, that's going to mean a lot for those high ground controls. It's going to mean a lot, especially in the situation of Renegades trying to close this one out. But I digress. The slash lines on Envy are pretty much looking a little bit wonky right now. Looking a little bit negative. Look, just a little bit.
I mean, random is 0-6 going into this, and I mean, I personally think Maeve wins the 1v1 usually if taken on even ground. And Shaolin is a fantastic anti-flanker that we haven't seen too much recently. Some people, again, they just don't like the inconsistency in his bow. But Shadow, with how he was playing yesterday, with how he's playing right now, inconsistency, I mean, if you're that consistent, that's not a factor. But still, Envy's going to try to have a smarter opening here. Aggressive through the church, but Invoker finds 2 to push random back.
Yeah, that's a good job from Envy. They're trying to force them out all the way into Keep to make sure they can actually have most of this control. Getting a few shots off onto Invoker is going to mean a lot, especially when he's low. But the Overpower is there and ready. Manages to catch Random Noob once again for the 7th time this game. Unfortunate for him, but not unfortunate for Renegades. Haze, Seismic Crash, through time and space are on the way, with Rubu possibly being the next one to fall. Shoulder Bash to come through to try and get out. Assert Dominance comes through as well. Keep himself a little bit more alive, but you see the Renegades already swarming him, ready to make sure they can find a kill.
They forced him out too, and they're getting cap time. Seismic Crash coming into Church, does not find anything, tries to get comboed, also does not find anything, but Hero gives up the point to pressure them here on this side, while all the kills are going towards Envy. Hero trades one, but the cap just happens in the back. The aggression was smart by Hero, I feel, to get off there, but with everybody else going down in the back, there was no one else to kind of trade off with him. Throwing his health pool into that fight, not bad, but again, no objective control. It does flip towards Envy's way, and comeback mechanic made that fight a lot harder for Renegades than it needed to be.
Yeah, I agree. With 2 minutes, almost 5 seconds left on the clock, Envy do cap their first point for Stone Keep. Dread Serpent's up, Dome Shield's up. Dome Shield can be used to counteract if anyone's trying to get on the point. If they want to push it in, they can use that. You see Hero over here trying to make sure he can get some damage off, or at least try and keep him distracted for a little bit. Renegades are trying to find their footing right now. They have had the momentum for a while, but you put it perfectly. Comeback mechanic does make it hard for them to try and be able to win those point fights. But now they still have a chance to pretty much make it a 3-1 situation.
Yeah, the payload's hitting the contention point here. Again, a lot of teams don't really fight it until it gets to that archway because this defensive positioning on Stone Keep is just so strong. I mean, it's easy chokes to lock down, and Invoker using the Midnight just to kind of stem the aggression a little bit from them, trying to find Random, and he does. Going down one more time is Random Noob, and Envy's looking like they're going to back off, but Renegades might force the issue. Yeah,
daggers coming out from Invoker are going to be just enough to make sure they pick up that kill onto Random Noob and finish him off. Rubu have held a little bit less than that, and even more so from Mr. Haze, who has to pretty much back off. Rock Monkey is looking low as well. Shaolin's playing a huge role right now, and not only that, the Renegades are on point right now. 4 ultimates up for Envy, though, a 5th one. Assert Dominance coming up soon. The Overpower is going to play a huge role here. He might wait for the Assert Dominance to go through to see if he can get something going for his team, and Envy, I'm pretty sure they know that. The ultimates, though, they come through. Ice Storm is there. That's going to be the start of something, but it's not going to be a huge fight yet.
It just forces Hero back. He had his DR up, so he was able to walk out of it. Seismic Crash used also countered by the Dome Shield, so kind of, again, ults just being negated back and forth. Dread Serpent coming in up top to fear Moonchopper will get that kill for them, and health is up on Renegades. Envy are going to have to find an opening here.
Go through time and space, try to see if he can get something, anything, but he doesn't quite find it. Viral, try to see if he can do anything with that through time and space to provide some sort of breathing room for the Renegades, but it's not going to be enough. Rock Monkey with 2 kills. Toki did get killed, and Vocal finds it on his own, but that doesn't really matter in this case because the payload is still pushing in. They are really close with Moonchopper going down again. That's going to be the 2nd point for Envy.
Yeah, Moon had to go dying on the point there.
Yeah,
Someone had to contest after Hero got picked a little bit earlier.
Agreed.
Solid ultimate engage, I think, from Envy there. The Ice Storm was a little iffy, but that Dome Shield forcing the Seismic Crash to kind of fade away was good by Tolki there to make that work. So solid push all in all by Envy. Ultimate wise, they did use quite a bit. They have Assert Dominance, and Ice Storm almost back up as well. So they have good options, I think, to start this mid, but they have to find a target that's more valid with the Ice Storm.
Yeah.
They went for Hero, and I mean, he already had his DR, Mother's Grace up, just walked out. So hopefully they can find, for them, they can find a DPS, or maybe a Moonchopper after he uses his shout.
Well, I can imagine that Envy would try and go for the same rotation that we saw before onto Viral, onto Invocal when they were just in the back line. If I was thinking of a perfect Ice Storm target, I would think maybe it would possibly be Viral. Maybe it could be Shadow, Invocal. All of them are doing really well. Kind of hard to say, but the Shoulder Bash come in, get things started, assert dominance as well to make sure things get going. But the Commander's Grab going to try and throw him out, but the Keep's too small, manages to catch himself on the pillar. It's not going to be enough. Midnight comes through as well. Invocal trying to find something going. Mr. Hayes in the back. People don't really suspect him to be back there. The Ice Storm does get dropped down. Just like I said, they're going to drop it on Invocal, make sure that he actually gets picked off. Rubu does find it, and that's going to be the start. If Viral goes down as well, this might be a negative start for Renegades this round, and it is.
They have a little bit of cap time, but it's going to get completely evened out
Right.
here as Renegades run away. If Envy can find another kill, this could be great, but good wall by Hero, locking him out of the fire area, so keep him away. Invocal, I think, had a good flank there, but they were ready for him. They saw him run away up top, so they had the Cassie come back to peel for Mr. Hayes. They had Random come back to peel for Mr. Hayes, and that's the kind of teamwork you need to counter this surrounding aggression play. You have to be able to react that quickly to make that happen, and Renegades looks like they're going to make their start here. Hero's going to move to contest the point. Invocal poked very low.
Yeah, very, very low indeed. He has to be forced to back off, go around, get a little bit of healing from Viral, but Hero goes down next. Rubu shoulder bashes his way in. Invocal is trying to see if he can find something, anything to get something started, but the Dread Serpent fears him away. Nice placement to make sure that Envy can capitalize on that point, capitalize on that mid-fight. 4 are down for Renegades. Envy capping one of their own, and now that they're up 3-2, this could potentially be the last push they need to close out game 1.
And even though their second pick, this is Renegades' map pick. They chose second pick on Stone Keep, so interesting that Envy are flipping it around on a map that is not theirs, you know, and if they take this, that's going to be a big momentum swing, but we're ahead of ourselves a little bit here. They're going to have to take this objective first if they want that to happen. Random getting a little aggressive on the side, does get forced out. My thing that I've noticed so far, I think Shadow needs to plant it a little bit less. He was getting aggressed on, and he used planted to stop the people pushing from behind the Ashe when he was fighting in the Keep. I think that was a little too much. Didn't really need to do that, kind of put himself still. Could have maybe backed up, used his tanks to body block instead there, but again, I just want him to be a little more careful with his cooldowns. That's a safe one, more or less. He has a lot of cover there, but still Renegades pushing forward, resettling, and we need their spawns, but Overpower might start something for Renegades.
Yeah, that's going to mean a lot for him to be able to get Rock Monkey. One of them is down, especially a big target like Cassie. That's going to mean a lot for the Renegades right now. They aren't going to really try and push in. They are trying to get picks, trying to slow down the momentum for Envy as they can figure things out. Seismic Crash through time and space with Midnight coming up soon. Meanwhile, Dome Shield, Assert Dominance, and the Scout are going to be ready right after that, potentially after this next fight.
Both these teams are playing pretty slow too, kind of patient. It's not really like a chaotic gameplay, and that's kind of to the comps too. I mean, the flankers have enough ability where they can do something and then immediately get out, play safe. They have 2 relatively safe backlines, and Cassie Shaolin, but Renegades are getting forced back a little bit here. Envy actually have this control, and Dome Shield means something might happen here.
Nice through time and space. I could see where he was trying to go for it. Didn't quite find it, though. The stun for Seismic Crash does end up coming through, but the Dread Serpent, the Midnight, everything starting. Scout, let there be light, says Cassie. Allows the rest of her team to be able to see, forcing the rest of Renegades back. They're trying to see what they can do. They can't get out of their spawn. Rubu keeping them in their base all the way. Toki trying to push. Moonchopper preoccupied with 2 individuals already. Mr. Hayes getting a kill of his own. The kill from Shadow is going to mean a lot, but Rock Monkey finding one of his own is going to mean a lot for Envy as they're trying to push this one in.
That was good by Moon to pull people back, but he didn't last long enough. That was just Hero on the point. No healing. Genosmark wouldn't have done too much anyway, and Envy, from a 2-0 deficit to start, completely flipped that around. Great mid-fight turn from them. The ultimate counters weren't enough. I mean, the Scout, they weren't able to bait out the Scout quite enough on Renegades and losing on their own map pick.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to mean a lot for them coming into this really coming into this next match, because that fight really, for me, changed when I saw Moon off on the flank, and then I saw Moon come off to the I think it was to the right of the point, and immediately was being zoned out by like Mr. Hayes and a few others that were just like keeping him there while the rest of the fight was happening, and them being gone. I don't even know if he did use Overpower, but it wasn't. I don't think it was enough. It was just something to try and slow them down, try and slow down the momentum.
He baited them over to the side, and it was good because they got the spawns in time, but I think 1 or 2 people were still focused up front, and that was enough to keep the damage, damage out of there, basically. Still, unfortunate for them. They're going to have to... Winning and then going to your map pick is a really good feeling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%. Definitely, for sure, for Envy. Well, with Game 1 in the books for them, we're going to have to see what they have in store for us for Game 2 right after this break.
Hi, now. powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back to the PPL. If you stopped watching after the first 2 points, you have no idea how that one turned out. If you watched the entire thing, you know that Envy turned it around, won 4 straight points, and won game 1 on Stone Keep. I mean, it's typical Renegades in that there's bright spot score. I mean,
yeah.
there are moments that you hold on to. They start off the game so convincingly. It looks like they're on pace to win. And then Envy get their footing, and the rest basically steamrolls from there.
And then Rock Monkey does 100,000 damage and is, 13,000 I see, higher than anybody after him. Like, right? It's just one of those moments where, again, when you're looking at the people who are going to be doing really well, Invocal 10-8-8, and Rock Monkey 12-4-7, and when Rock Monkey is dialed in, you're going to have a rough game. In fact, I think he had a little bit of a rough time very early on. Random Noob, I remember seeing at one point, was 0-4, so he goes 9-9-13. But Rock Monkey just knew what to do, and at a certain point, the man's deadly.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the frontliners across this entire game, and everyone was either negative or even if you look at just kills and deaths. And this was the game of the damage dealers, and you know, you have Rock Monkey, Random Noob versus Shadow and Vocal on the opposite side. Depending on the day, that might be questionable, but when Rock Monkey's feeling himself on Cassie the way he is, those follow-up shots, hit the disengage, hit the follow-up, he's one of the best in the league to do it. This is the final push. This double, almost triple, almost quadra, basically sealed his 100,000 damage game. You can't always bet on that happening, but with Rock Monkey, it happens a little bit more often than with others.
There were, throughout all the lands last year, I distinctly remember admins mentioning how if they had to watch someone screen, they liked watching Rock Monkey because it's just a treat to watch him aim. Yeah. And that's just what I get out of watching those. It's just you just watch him play Cassie and your mind is in a little bit in awe because you're just like, I really wish I could do that when I played Cassie. Yeah. But at the same time, it's also that moment where it's just like, this guy just doesn't miss a shot.
Yeah, it doesn't very often. Fish Market.
There it is.
So if that's any indication that Renegades picked the first map, they elected to choose second draft-wise in our first draft. Of course, now Envy's map pick is Fish Market. They will opt to pick first here in their draft. They love themselves some Fish Market gore. They tend to be pretty good at it. They did play it against NIP last week when they beat them 4-0, I might add, here on Fish Market. Their composition that time around was Makoa, Eevee, Barrick, Kanessa, and Damba. They banned out Torvald and Geno, so at least through one ban, looks kind of similar. But why do you think Envy like Fish Market so much?
Well, I think there's got to be part of it that is just when you win a world championship on this map, you gotta keep coming back to it. But there's also just a nuance to Fish Market that is not found in literally any other map. It is unique to the way this map goes, and they just have the style down for Fish Market. They know the appropriate way to retake the point if they lose it. They know how to control where you're going at the beginning. They know what flank routes are going to be best. They know how to win the push. It's just all of those combinations that, again, are very unique to this map because of the way it's laid out, make them a stronger team.
And, they lean into it. They felt so confident over NIP on it. They won 4-0, helped them on their way to their win over NIP last week. Starting off Barrick this time around. Get a little bit of that point presence down. Of course, I mean, it's this giant square ring essentially overlooking the point. So having a little extra staying power, never a bad thing. Barrick certainly offers that up here. Atlas, Makoa, Khan, Torvald, though, are your 4 bans, so frontliners now looking a little bit more high priority. Probably an Ashe pick somewhere in these first few.
So Barrick is probably one of my favorite frontline for Fish Market, and I think it's a good reason why Envy go to him first.
Right.
And it's just, when you look at the layout of the point, there's a couple of crates nearby, but there's not a lot of cover, right? So you're getting a little bit. The crates for Barrick, first off, they're the right height to kind of shield Barrick himself, but you can put your turrets down. A lot of players do run healing on, like, when you're around your turret.
Sure.
And so you're just close enough that you can hide your turret behind a crate, still have it deal damage around the objective, and you're getting the healing. Plus, Barricade is going to be able to give you some pretty nominal shielding against the Renegades here. So he's just, in my eyes, like one of the best, if not the best frontline to have on this map.
And, you know, Envy, I guess, thinking like Goremizer in this case. Lock him in first. Furia, Maeve to start off the picks on the opposite side. Of course, that leaves open, well, Cassie and Evie yet again. I mean, the draft in the last game for Envy, Ashe, Cassie, Barrick, Evie, Damba. Still certainly in the wheelhouse here. And really, it was Random Noob and Rock Monkey. I mean, you know, the frontliners for Envy did their job last game, but it was really the damage dealers that had the highlight plays, had the flashy plays, and really drove that one home. And I said it's comfort. I said it's like home cooking to them. It certainly is. Cassie and Evie doesn't get more standard Envy than that, and they'll be happy to go back to it here.
So I referenced Envy's like their loss rate with Ashe last game, so this one might come back to bite me as well. But Furia, very highly picked by the Renegades, very highly lost. They, out of 8 games played so far this phase, she's lost 7 on the Renegades. So Viral, they obviously love her.
Do you
but
have
they just
their
haven't been able
highest
to come
win
through.
rate champion by? I don't want to.
I can give you the one. It's only for phase 2.
Okay.
And I did it backwards, but their highest win rate, well, technically it's Tyra because she's played once, won once. But if you're looking at someone who's been picked a lot, Genos, Atlas, 3 times for Atlas, but 8 times for Genos there at 62.5%.
Gotcha.
And Maeve is pretty successful for them, just a little over 50.
Well, they get the Maeve at least out of that lineup. We were kind of joking around in the back, you know, Rubu going on to the Ashe, maybe not his most successful. Ruckus is, though. He is very good. I mean, it's beyond a meme. He's actually very good at Ruckus, of course. And they're going to get him that Ruckus here. Genos to round out, boost everyone else up. Cassie, Evie, Genos, Ruckus, Barrick for Envy. Honestly, again, I don't think it gets much better than that.
I'll be honest, like, that is a winning Fish Market draft in my eyes. That's a winning Envy draft in my eyes. Like, there's maybe 3 maps that come to my mind when I see that kind of draft, and there's pretty much only 1 team that comes to my mind when I see that kind of draft.
Yeah,
maybe 2, because I think I could throw Na'Vi under the blanket, but I just feel like they maybe are more likely to hover something different than the Eevee. Like, if that was Bomb King, that's a Na'Vi draft, but it being Eevee, it just feels like home, and it's the same kind of danger that they had last time, where it's just everyone is on something they're comfortable on.
Agreed. I mean, Renegades, nothing to scoff at on the opposite side, though. I mean, Furia, that Inflame is going to kind of be the go button. You hit the ult, everyone wants to follow it up.
Let's get
Opting for triple DPS here. Okay, Maeve, Leon, Victor are going to be your 3 damage dealers, and Nara, about as tanky as you can find. Furia as well. Lots of good healing to top that one off. All right, Gore, triple DPS for the Renegades. Does that unseat the home-feeling draft there for Envy?
I think they're going to have some good advantages late game. I actually think if the game goes on a little longer with some Wreckers online to help deal with the Ruckus and the Barricade, all of a sudden the tanks become a little bit more vulnerable. I think Leon and Victor will be deadly, especially with the Inflame. So if Renegades can prolong this and stop it from being a 4-0 like we saw last week when they were up against NIP, then I think Envy can definitely lose.
Right.
But it is on Envy to kind of make the mistakes to lose.
I guess by default that means Envy need to hurry up and win this game, and if any indication from the last game, they can certainly do that. Game 2, let's do it.
Let's get right into it, guys. Really, really excited to see what Renegades is going to bring to the table now. We saw it last game, and I believe Gore was mentioning it just a little bit before. Renegades has this tendency, especially since we had just saw them. They did lose, but it was 4-2. They have this tendency to be able to have this momentum. Once they figure it out, they start rolling, but you can't give them the chance to do that.
I mean, a triple DPS is, I mean, Nick said this when I was with him before, that it is kind of a late game composition where they don't scale as poorly because they're not as affected by Wrecker, and I mean, Nara as their solo tank also not affected by Wrecker at all. So Renegades are kind of settling in for the late game here. They could take it in the early game though, depending on how well they deal with Rubu, I feel. If Rubu can't find an opening it's so hard for a Ruckus to commit into triple DPS.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it basically is 2 triple DPS comps. Ruckus is kind of just a thick DPS, but they're settling across from each other right now. We'll see what opening Envy tries to find.
Here we go, the dodge roll to actually come in. He is firing a few shots into the open space right there, just next to that archway. The point is, point fight happening, just shots coming out here and there. Nothing really concrete. 24% on the point for Renegades. Envy's just getting their first few touches going. Random's trying to see if he can get something going against this Maeve. See if he can get a kill. A couple direct hits. Dude does make her extremely low though, but the healing from Furia is going to keep her alive.
Yeah, Renegades are also getting good cap time here too. Talkie forced a little bit back to play behind those boxes. Random had some good confirmations on the mid-air Maeve, but it's hard. Maeve has so much mid-air mobility, it's hard to get those consistent air shots really going. They're still settling here. Talkie's playing on the point, getting some damage in from Shadow, but neither team wants to really make a move. I mean, like I said, it's both kind of triple DPS, and those are comps that don't really want to go in. They want to bait you in and then use their damage to find a pick. Great beam
that was good.
by Random.
Yeah, that was good.
Him out, but onto Random, excuse me, but he does not get picked for it because they have to play so cautious around all this damage that's up.
Yeah, they do. You see both teams give each other extremely big respect, but Rockmonkey's going to find the first kill against Shadow. That's going to mean a lot for Team Envy coming into this fight with 93% on the point. At first, it was looking like Renegades could potentially close out the mid-fight here, the first one of Fish Market. But it seems like Envy's, now that they found the kill it was they needed, now they're just steamrolling one after the other. And Rockmonkey, once again, not opting for the big game, opting for the impulse once again.
Yeah, against triple DPS, that's definitely a smart play. And that was rough for Hero, because as soon as he used his damage reduction to get on the point, he used his wall, then he backed up thinking that things would kind of stay slow. But after Shadow went down, Talkie was able to just sit on the point. Moonchopper could be spammed out, so it wasn't impossible for him to contest. So at that point, now he has to go back in with no cooldowns, which led to him getting gripped and taken down. So unfortunate for him, but Renegades, triple DPS, this is a good area for them as long as they don't lose this hill. It's going to get a lot harder then, and Invocal trades into Haze, but the healing's still going to be there for a second for Envy, so 4v4, but small advantage to Envy until those marks are out.
Yeah, for sure. Rockmonkey is being forced to back all the way. Mr. Haze comes up just in time with Maeve being down just a little bit longer. Tucky's going to round this corner, trying to see if he can find a few shots and at least try and get Envy's push over that little hill, or at least on top of it, so they can have that vantage point. Rubu waiting around the corner on the Ruckus, just eating a few shots, but the Furia, that will be the biggest go button it is I've ever heard in my life for sure. Dome Shield does go down. Make sure they can at least live a little bit longer. Through time and space does find Moonchopper. One of them being down on Renegades is going to mean a lot for Envy pushing this payload in.
Hexafire 2 being used on the side to push back the DPS. They can't peek, so Tolkien's kind of uncontested. Seismic Crash coming in and maybe find Rubu, but again, the DPSs were hiding from that initial kill, so even though Shadow finds Tolkien, a lot of damage coming in for Envy. Great ultimate usage for them. Barrage, they have to use so many defensive ultimates here to do Renegades, and Envy still have a minute to move it in.
Yeah, for sure. They do have to back off of the point. I apologize for laughing. It was just, you hear the barrage come up, you hear the oh, and then Rubu just immediately just disappears, because I didn't actually see where he was positioned in that case. But 2-0 in favor of Envy. The Renegades just don't have any points currently. They are trying to find a way to sort of get themselves going, just trying to find some sort of momentum. But Envy, man, once they got that first kill, that was the deciding factor for that round.
This is one of the weaknesses of a team banning the same maps every time. I mean, we saw it. Nip, it never was a problem for them. You know, they always banned Split and Warders, but Renegades, they banned Timber and Warders both games this time, and now they're getting taken to Envy's one of their favorite maps. I mean, this was the World Championship winning map last year. They are so comfortable here. Rubu on this map on Ruckus is so comfortable, and it's really hard to contest them when they understand the rotation so well. This map plays very differently from a lot of other maps because of that kind of fishbowl style. You're in the middle of everything on the point when you get that objective time, so the side control is what matters. And a team that specializes in that is going to be so hard to unseat when they're in their comfort zone.
Yeah, for sure. Random does go all the way around once again. It's like he was followed up just a little bit by Rubu. I mean, he went all the way into the back line. Yeah, there's Rubu. He ends up coming around just in time. They are getting a few shots onto the Renegades. Hero eating a lot of damage on this Anar. They are trying to find not necessarily some picks, but just some damage to get things going. And yeah, that sword definitely forces Moonchopper all the way back. They want to make sure that he's not on this high ground. And Shadow picks off again the first one in this round. It's going to be extremely unfortunate. 33% on the point for Team Envy, while 15% is only there for Renegades. They're going to have to try and find something to get their thing started.
A rough start again. Shadow's just not ready to cross these sightlines. And I was actually about to critique Envy too. I was literally about to say, I don't like how they don't have anyone waiting behind, because Renegades did the same thing both hits in a row. You're not supposed to be able to rely on getting that kind of confirm across the map, but I mean, if you got Rock Monkey, I guess you can lean
Yeah,
on
I
it,
guess.
you know? If you're going to get those shots no matter what, you can rely on it. Envy going up 3-0 off of the back of 2 early picks from Rock. He gets forced out here a little bit, but man, it's again, I want to say that I don't like that play, but Shadow just cannot contest Rock at these ranges.
I mean, if it works, right?
Yeah,
Like,
you're
you
right.
can't really, like, say much about it in that
It's the coaching
situation.
thing.
Right, and no,
Like, yeah,
no,
it worked, but come
I
on,
completely
guys.
understand. I completely understand. I was a coach as well. I get you, Kresnik. You are not alone in that sentiment. I'm sure people in the chat are the same way as well. We have Mr. Hayes up here on the high ground trying to control with Rock Monkey. He has it through time and space. The Furia Inflame goes out once again, but it seems like the Renegades are just so far back there. I guess they're trying to get something started to find some sort of momentum, but it's going to be really hard, especially with the Maeve all the way in the back line. She's eating a few shots here and there. She is getting some damage on the Toki, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to find a kill.
I don't disagree with the defensive Inflame here. I feel like when you have a triple DPS, Inflame can be used as a kind of a denial, but Invocal staying way far ahead of his team. I think they thought he was going to follow up and just ended up meeting Rock Monkey's crossbow there. So now that Envy's taking this hill too, it's going to be a lot harder for RNG. This is the danger zone. Once that hill gets crossed, the offense gets such an advantage in the fight.
Yeah, here we go. Moonchopper finding a kill on the random though. That's going to be really good. Rubu finds one on the Shadow once again. 51 HP. Moonchopper has to wait. Just wants to get a little bit of that out of combat healing. Pyre Strike does come down from Furia. Transmutation gets some stun. Hexfire as well. Not just to make sure that they win this fight, but also to make sure they just pretty much dust their hands off, clean things up, and get some pressure.
Looks like Ruckus actually managed to get them to permanently activate Hexafire, like on that one skate.
Yeah.
He's pushing on the side. That's going to be dangerous to deal with. Rock Monkey laying in the damage in the back here. And they're actually playing the trees really well. The Midnight is a lot of ults coming out for the Renegades to try to stop this, but the Dome Shield is just going to stall things out completely.
Yeah.
Vocal has to go touch the point now, too. The tank being down means no point control for triple DPS.
Yeah, Moonchopper and Vocal find 2 kills of their own. Rubu finding one on Vyro. That's going to be pretty big, especially with 30 seconds left on the clock as well. We do see that Rubu is trying to do what it is that he can, getting those rockets in, just applying some shots here and there, but double kill for Rock Monkey, 1 for Rubu is going to be enough to net them game 2 on Fish Market.
Yeah, it's so hard to keep the point contested when you have triple deeps after your tank goes down. Hero did what he could, but on the respawn, Invocal was diving back and forth, using that DR to keep it tanked. But I mean, what a dominant game, I think, from Envy. Like winning with just great play from Rock Monkey, getting those long range confirms, good ultimate usage. The cover could not be found for Renegades. It was just a statement from Envy there.
Right, exactly. And no mean to harp on him, just no harm done. But Shadow getting picked twice in both rounds in the very beginning started something for Envy that Renegades was really just trying to stop. It was like once they got that kill, they knew exactly when to go, and you just saw them piling up just in the side of blue. And immediately after that, they ended up winning game 2. Just so much aggression coming out from Envy. Game 2 in the books for them, but right after this break will be game 3.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins Premier League.
Thank you, guys. Welcome back. Fish Market, Envy Levitt, for good reason. 4-0 for them. Hard to highlight just one specific person, but that was fast. Gore said they needed to win fast, and they did just that, Gore Miser. Not a lot to hold on to if you're the Renegades there. Lots to hold on to if you're Envy, though.
Yeah, it turns out they're still good at it. They still have Fish Market in their pocket. And so I expect to see, like, that is one of those things coming up that some teams, like especially the ones that really hate it, they're going to maybe start banning it. But I think every single member, when we look at this, had a really positive impact in the game for their team. And it was nice to see, like, the flex. I love triple DPS from Renegades, by the way, just because that's one of the things, like, they almost never did last split. It was almost always standard. So it's nice to see them deviating. But it's, the slash lines kind of explain it.
I like the thought. I like the thought. The thought is there. Brutal. You can't stop an 11-0-6.
Brutal.
Savage. Wrecked. Rock Monkey, Rubu at 4-1 and 11. It's almost cherry picking, I think, at this point to keep highlighting Rock Monkey. So we're gonna change it up. Highlight Rubu, 4-1 and 11 for the Ruckus. We talked about how maybe Ash or Random Noob, excuse me, the Ash for Rubu, a little hit or miss. But Ruckus certainly hitting its stride this game. But Random Noob back on the Eevee, 4.5 KDA, 43,000 damage.
Well, this is the fun where it's like you get Rock Monkey having an awesome game 1, right? And then he has an awesome game 2, and you're like, okay, we have to look at something else. But you had 4 other members on the team that were putting in work this game, so you could go to anybody. And Random Noob that time was a little more felt than his 9-9 on Stowed Keep. So that is the presence I expect out of his Eevee.
It's a hard game to really try to pick one specific person to highlight because literally everyone on Envy was playing out of their mind. I mean, technically the cherry pick is Rock Monkey at Undying, and for good reason. He's very good at that, Cassie. So now you got to consider, what you want to give to him. It's a lot to look at. I get the sneaky feeling we're going to Brightmarsh, though, for map number 3, Gore. Envy love to pick it, but they don't do very well on it.
They have not done very well on it. But you know what, Dave? Not only are you going to be right about this, I'm going to throw another one at you. Envy's not the only team in this set who has lost every Brightmarsh game they've played this phase.
Well, there's 2 teams in this set, Gore.
Yes.
Envy's one. Who's the other one? So
Renegades. No matter what, someone's getting their first Brightmarsh win at phase 2 here. And it's just so unfortunate. Both of them, I think, actually having played it 4 times, and both of them having lost it 4 times. It's not the battle of the bottom, but it's probably the most unfortunate scenario. It's an interesting map pick, though.
It's the battle of the Brightmarsh. And one of these 2 teams is hopefully getting in the win column. You can't tie, so one team will be getting in the win.
If they do, then we have something, like a way more serious issue at hand.
It's a 99-99 3-3 mid fight that overtime literally never expires, and we're here for hours.
That's the game just goes up and says, "Sorry guys, it's over."
It's finally over.
You both win.
Envy looking
Everybody
for the con.
gets
Barrack Ash though for the Renegades. Lots of good space control. That's so important here on Brightmarsh. That midpoint, indoors, shielding, all that fun stuff. Overly important on this map. I'm assuming Rubu on the con. Could still be Toki technically, depending on how they pick out the rest here. Inara's still around. Toki loves himself some Inara. But the frontliners continuing to reign supreme here on Brightmarsh.
And I think that's kind of the glory with the draft that Envy have, where it's just like we are very versatile. And so you don't really know where anyone's going to go. And now she's being hovered. She is allowed this week, by the way, for anyone who wasn't aware.
She wasn't played yesterday. Io is available, so they can lock her in here if they want. We were able to sit down with a few of the support players in the league, hear some of their thoughts. I think that the overwhelming consensus was situationally viable. This could be a situation where Io may come out. Remember the wolf can cap. Okay, that's a troll. I was all excited to... no, it's a troll by Envy. And in this case, it's us who's at the butt of that one. Genos Cassie. Okay, Genos Maeve. All right, let's just wait till they lock in here. Genos Maeve. At least if nothing else, that shows Envy are really thinking about their picks, top to bottom. It is going to be Genos here, pairing it with the Maeve.
Well, Dave, they did do one thing for me here. Even though they didn't pick in Io, they did remind me that my champion stat sheet needs to all include Io because she's not listed in there. So at the end of the day, they at least gave me more work.
It was a subtle nod. They said, Gore, go ahead and toss her in your sheet there. Unfortunately, the number is still 0 picked-wise for her. Only 2 games, though. Only available yesterday, only available today. Still could come out towards the end of this set. Genos, though, very successful for Envy, pairing it with the Maeve. We've seen Rock Monkey play Maeve. We've seen Random Noob play Maeve. So plenty of opportunity to flex around with their last 2 picks in this case. Both teams thinking very long and hard about what they want to pick here. Maybe realizing they don't want to give those 2 over to Envy. One of the 2 likely wouldn't have gone in. But Envy for the Renegades getting locked in here. Shadow very comfortable. And Cassie very comfortable on... or Invoco, excuse me, very comfortable on Cassie as well. So it's not like it's not like that's purely let's pick away from Envy. They both feel comfortable on those champions as well.
It's kind of the double side, and also if you want to look at it this way, technically Cassie and Eevee have 100% win rate together in this set so far, but because the 2 maps they were played, they won. So at least they have that going for them. We'll see if Renegades can kind of keep that up. They also leave themselves open. Like, it's not often when you hear about like you have the flex pick, but you're going for a support, and sometimes that's not crucial. But you are going to be able to determine, like, are they going to have enough to deal with a Moldamba here? Do I want to go for maybe they want to pull out the IO on the side of Renegades, right? Like, there's some flexibility in there for that final pick.
Yeah, this is where the Renegades will reveal their final hand. 2 frontliners, 2 damage dealers. You need a healer. Over on the Envy side, though, while Renegades are thinking about their pick, of course, with Maeve, Drogo's locked in. You assume that's random noob on the Drogos. Rock Monkey then onto the Maeve. Khan, Genos, Inara are the other 3. Tolki on the Inara, Rubu on the Khan, very comfortable on that champion. Then, of course, Hayes on the Genos, one of his best. Looking like Furia here for the Renegades. I believe you said not a lot of success they've played Furia, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
Potentially the Damba, though, could solve some problems.
In fact, kind of looking at it now, including that last game, 11% win rate there for them on the Furia. So it's not the, again, not the best, but you also have to take into account that a lot of their champions kind of look like that with how they... These sets have been tending to go, at least. The first 2 sets they had in the first week, maybe, I don't want to call it a fluke yet, but it definitely feels like they had something pumping through them for week 1 that just has not been there for 3 and 4.
Well, this is the battle of the Eevee Cassie 100% pair win rate so far. Only 2 games in this set. Hasn't lost yet. But the Renegades haven't won yet, so which cracks first? The Eevee Cassie, the Renegades on this? Who wins their first Bright Marsh?
Yeah, that's the thing at the end of the day, though. Someone at least gets something out of this. And Envy, it might be a 3rd win, but they also get a first Bright Marsh win. I think they have what it takes. I think Maeve's going to be really good here. The Maeve-Eevee duel is going to be interesting, but I think Drogos is going to be kind of feeling free up in the sky, and I think he's probably, especially with Random Noob, kind of blow him up.
Well, Gore likes Envy for good reason because they look very, very strong today. Game 3, let's go.
Thanks, guys, for bringing it down to us, to the casters. Now, unfortunately, there is no IO. Me and Kresnik were doing like this weird, like, snake charmer, like, sway dance.
I was doing Mortal Kombat mocap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same. Yeah, like we were trying to summon IO from her pit, from the depths.
This could have been a good IO map, but I think what Drogos brings to the table is just going to be too much. I mean, I think Drogos. I don't even know if Maeve is going to be matching up with the Eevee. I think it might actually be the Drogos just hovering above the Eevee to try to spam down. Actually, Street Justice may be locked in, but Fortify was also being hovered by Barrack, so it could just be a little bit of a bait and switch. Fortify, not the best. To put it bluntly, but for now, looks like actually it will be Maeve fighting Eevee most likely with Random holding her on the side, and very aggressive start to this mid by Envy.
I was just about to say that. They're immediately moving in the wall to keep Moonchopper from leaving as well. My goodness, you see 3 of them just immediately rush the room right next to the point. 33% on the point for Renegades, but Team Envy just pretty much tearing them apart right there. They just ran in. They knew what they wanted, and they definitely got it.
That's a great way to start the mid when you have an Inara. Like, you can give up the point. If your point tank calls it fast enough, the rest of your team can rotate, but they just came in too quickly. It was too hard for them to deal with it. Rock Monkey engaged in a backline duel with Shadow. Ice Block has to get forced, and great air shot by Shadow, but Rock's going to force him out again. I do think that he has the advantage in this 1v1, and to confirm it is Street Justice. We saw the execute mark there onto him, so that's going to be good against the Barrack, and on the Ashe too, because you can't dash out of that Street Justice damage.
Good point. Random Noob is applying some damage. Rock Monkey, both Random Noob and him just get the same, not the same kill, but both kills at the same time, more like a Rock Monkey finding the second one for himself. Meanwhile, trying to find some sort of way to get out. Viral just ends up dying, just to make sure he can actually respawn in close enough time with his team, making sure that he's there. Cassie is leading in terms of damage, but Drogos is right behind her along with the Maeve, and really Inara just above Eevee, close to the bottom, something you really don't see.
I wouldn't call that too shocking solely because the Inara is constantly shooting things on point, and if the Eevee is playing a more of a control style, you're not expecting crazy high damage numbers. When you see them, you're like, oh man, he is having one hell of a game, but Mr. Hayes finding Invocal, that's a huge part of the damage out. Hero gone as well too, so 2 high damagers, 4 Renegades are out, and everyone else is going to have to feed on the cart. It was so late too, such a late death for them.
It really, really was. Toki finally killing the Moonchopper. Both of them, just two individuals and Renegades being down is going to mean a lot. Dragon Punch come through. My goodness, you ever thought they want to be aggressive? That was the time. Hero comes down at the wrong place, at the wrong time, and Vocal finds a kill for himself to make sure he can manage to get random noob. But Furia, show them no mercy, says she, as they immediately go in. But the stun coming through onto Moonchopper is going to be enough. The rest of them aren't able to do what they need to, and so well placed in terms of seismic crashing to make sure as soon as they got down to the point, the stun came through, she immediately died. It was no contesting from Renegades. That was so well played by Envy right there.
Yeah, and it was perfect too because it countered the assert dominance as well.
Exactly, exactly.
Up, they could not get it out, and now the Inflame is out of the picture, and I think Inflame would be more valuable in these mid-fights than Seismic Crash, especially as the game goes on. Once those resiliences are online, it's going to be really tough for them to make that happen. Moonchopper and Hero both rough start 0-4, 0-3, but that's kind of going to be a side effect of playing against a Street Justice Maeve. That's kind of her job. It's just to melt those tanks immediately when they think they're safe, through their terms of their means of damage mitigation. So good start, I think, by Rock Monkey, 5-0 as well. Rubo is 0-0, but 8 assists means he is in every single one of these fights.
100%. We see that Rock Monkey's looking for a chance to actually go in, but this time we see that Renegades is applying more pressure off of the point instead of directly on it. They are getting a few shots onto the con, a little bit into his shield. Fire Spread comes through to get some damage onto the barrack as well. It's going to be enough to zone him. It's really, really difficult for them to get what they need to, but Ice Storm is dropped, and they try and find something to get anything going, really. Shadow trying to see if he can get a few shots from his primary fire, but I don't know if it's going to be enough as Assert Dominance comes through, so that way they can try and at least get something confirmed.
Yeah, but it was kind of far away from the rest of the team. It's just Rubu 1v1ing Moon now, and he won't be able to get very far away. Does knock Rubu away, but point control is currently actually went back to Renegades, so that's looking good for them, but the kills are all going towards Envy. Renegades kind of coming in one by one and trading back and forth, but Tulki finds 2 quick ones.
Yeah, there we go. But Renegades, look at them. 97% on the point. Envy nowhere to be able to actually contest because of a nice mid-fight happening from the Renegades. They were able to actually do what they needed to get the kill, and they definitely found it. But Street Justice, and no justice like Street Justice, finding the execution kill onto the barrack on the Hero is going to be enough for them to try and get some momentum.
Yeah, it was just the fight being off of the point. I was originally questioning Moon's Assert Dominance, but everybody kind of came back to deal with him, and because of that, Hero had complete free reign. That dome shield he put in the way was too much damage for him to go through. That's that 600 DPS buff that it got pretty recently. So good play by Hero, I think, to keep them locked out, but Random coming down and finding the man of the hour himself, taking him down in Flame to keep things going for Renegades. Great shot by Invocal too, but 2 versus 3, Renegades ready to Spanish you.
Yeah, for sure. But Harubu looking extremely low. Vyro does find the kill on him, just cleans it up a little bit. Sports can, they can do some damage too, especially on Furia. Oh, but nice shot coming out from Shadow as well onto Rock Monkey. Very well placed to make sure Vyro did not die. Allows him to actually heal himself back up. Scout, Ice Storm, through time and space, and overpower. Seismic Crash with Dragon Punch coming up soon is going to be enough for Team Envy and make sure that they can have something started in case a fight happens.
And Envy won't be too mad to spend ultimates here, I think, because again, they want to get up that 3-1. Dragon Punch coming in early. Who's it going to try to go for? Viral on the point. He might not be able to make it, but not enough damage. Ruber finding 2 on the side means this is an immediate fast flip for Envy, and they're going to take this very far forward, I feel. You want to buy as much time as possible because you want to be in the position to immediately win this game. If you take that 3-1, it all comes down to that mid-fight, especially if you get to charge your ultimates.
Yeah, I agree. The shot does come through from Eevee as well. We're trying to see if they can get a little bit on the Drogoz. Doesn't really find the shot that they need, but we do see the Eevee's out looking for blood. Find a few shots here and there. Not finding anything concrete yet. The rest of Renegades, a couple of them looking pretty low. Not going to push up yet. They're just trying to find their opening.
Yeah, and actually, Tulki getting really low on the side. He was kind of overextended in the apartment, split from the rest of his team. Hard to live without a main healer pocket. Yes, they have Genos, but he doesn't have that same level of sustain that the other healers bring, so Tulki caught out because of that, so Renegades do have another shot at this. Looks like they want to stagger this because they want to get this card to this final corner so they can make the decision to spend Zult, but it sounds like the decision has already been made.
Yikes! Thanos snapped out of this world, and Vocal and Moonchopper find kills of their own. Random Noob and Toki, not before they find 2 of their own as well, but 3 are down on Renegades because of that kill on Vyro. I don't know if it's gonna be enough for them to actually contest, but coming into next round though, they do have Scout, they do have the Assert Dominance, they have Ice Storm building up, Dome Shield as well. They can have the counter for Midnight.
Inflame is a great start though, and they're gonna be lacking that because they did spend that to try to turn that fight. One of the problems with playing into a Drogos is that it's almost like Makoa, where you say, all right, we're going to let him have it, then we're going to ignore him, and we're going to hope that he misses.
Right. Good
And,
one.
wow.
Oh, whoa.
Basically,
Oh, my God. You see how fast
he caught his hand right out. You can turn while the overpowered target's coming in, so you can set up those kills that quickly. But the DPS is on Envy. Very hard to deal with right now. 9-1 for Rock, 8-3 for Random. But like I was saying, you can't fully ignore the Drogos if he's connecting every single rocket. It's almost like a gamble in that sense, where if you give them that free draft, you're saying, well, he's not going to confirm every single shot. We're going to be able to play around it, and Random Noob is the kind of Drogos you don't want to ignore.
Yeah, for sure. Time and space is there. Midnight, Dragon Punch, Overpower almost back up. They do have the means of countering that with the Renegades as well. Their ultimates are definitely not anything to sleep on, but we mentioned the point before is that Mr. Hayes, or not necessarily Mr. Hayes, but Jinos being able to use it through time and space in a lot of these apartments is going to be a big deal, especially if he gets the right pick.
Early cap time here, too. Now they just come in to contest the point now. Hayes has through the time and space to fight this Dome Shield if he wants to. He's choosing to save it, I believe, for a later contest. 2 people going down for Renegades. Moon down with Assert Dominance. Every ultimate is off the board for them, so they're going to have to back up or just die.
Yeah, for sure. Rock Monkey getting the kill onto Viral, and Mr. Hayes following that up with his own kill on the hero. That's going to be a lot. The Drogos is coming through to make sure that they can get some damage off, but I don't know if it's going to be enough for Renegades to be able to try and make this comeback. They're going to push up, try to prevent on body block from Toki to make sure the shoulder bash does not actually go through. Moonchopper do what he can, but Assert Dominance is a little bit away from the point, forcing him even off of it. Still, he allows Hero to come back, but through time and space, not going to find anybody, but it is going to be enough to force them at least a little bit off of the side.
I don't know why Toki saved his wall there. He could have ended the game immediately, but he thought the body block would be enough. Poor timing on the seismic crash lets Moon touch the point, which gets this flip up for the Renegades. And Flame here now, too, will make it even harder for them to touch with Shadow getting re-healed. But Renegades have, Envy have a lot of DPS on the point, so they could get this kill on Hero if they have enough focus. But Hayes going down takes 15% damage right out of the fight.
That's going to be huge. Hero goes down. Toki does find it, but not before Shadow gets his own pick onto Random Noob. Rock Monkey find the kill on the Moonchopper. It's going to be a Icebox to continue the contest. Make sure the overtime timer does not go down. This fight is going one or the other. The Ice Storm, you want to make sure that you at least have something. Nice juke coming out from Shadow for Zeruba off the point, but the overpower doesn't find anybody. The overtime goes away, and that's going to be not one, but 2 for Renegades.
Wow, I have no idea how they could. I think that was on the back of Toki not using his wall on this side. You could have ended it right there.
Oh, man.
Shadow surfing on the roof, spraying in random space. That's got to be a tilter after losing that one. That was so
100%.
close, but the damage again from that Inflame flipped it. I thought maybe Envy could have had random kite away, come back in, but Renegades knew who to focus. They had their priorities straight. It was exactly what they needed to. So things settling back down, but Shadow opening this up. This fight could keep going.
Oh, nice ice block. Nice bait. Jebaited. Tries to get in there. Tries to see if he can get a kill onto Shadow or anything. The Eevee ice blocks just at the right time. Hero comes in, swoops up that kill. Mr. Hayes looking real low, and he gets picked off as well, followed by Toki. That's going to be a lot for the Renegades with a minute 40 on the clock still.
Renegades aren't going to want to spend anything here, though, because they're going to want it for the next mid-fight. If Envy spend it, that's good for them, but they want to be able to take it to a 3-3 with as many ultimates as possible. Random on this flank here. Envy might want to engage with this Dragon Punch fun.
Yeah, here we go. They actually try and go all the way around. He wants to make sure he can get something, but the juke just manages to land it nice enough. Seismic Crash tries to see if they can get something, but the fire spin! No! The fire spin hit the tree! He didn't get a chance to get the kill on Viral, so that's going to mean a lot for Renegades, especially if they got the kill on the Drogos finally.
The pounce actually gets knocked to the side, so Rock doesn't get the kill either. Everything's going Renegades' way right now. Great fire strike by Viral to find that kill too. They're all going to go down, and there's no way they can contest. I mean, Shadow will go for this kill just to feel good about himself, but there's no way Random can touch. And Renegades, on the back of 3 ultimates and some good cooldown usage, they turned this fight. We're into a final point fight for this map.
Wow. If you would have told me from the beginning that this is what was going to happen, because I thought that they were actually just going to close it out. That's exactly what it was they're going to do. They were so close, but good point from you. He saved the wall a little bit too late. Shoulder bash, just that slight moment of misplay, it netted them Renegades the 3rd point they needed. Now we're at a 3-3. Now we're looking at a game potentially for Renegades with Scout and Assert Dominance on one.
Yeah, I mean, when people put pressure on players for making like the smallest misplays can completely turn a fight. I don't want to harp on it too much because there was other things going on. Again, Renegades also playing well with the good focus fire on the point, helping that too. But there's so much pressure on. you really have to be at 100% all the time. And Renegades are showing that they can operate from this position. You know, people talk about how they're a momentum-based team, but think about the momentum going into this map, and they still were operating on all cylinders that they needed to flip that fight.
You are outmatched, says Khan. It's going to be a lot. Moonchopper does go down. It's going to be big, especially for the very first few seconds. But Viral gets the kill on Random Noob. If you can't do it, I will. I'll take it upon myself. Make sure the dragon gets knocked out of the sky. Toki forced back as well. Through time and space is there. Shadow all the way in the back, just blinking in and out, forcing that pressure onto the tanks, onto the healer, onto Maeve as well, to make sure they can get and net this first game for Renegades.
Plus Scout and Assert Dominance up, but Shadow going down early is going to be really tough for them. That's a lot of pressure for Renegades down. Assert Dominance blocking the way, but Envy was already in behind them. They need to find a kill really quick. Multiple ultimates being spent. Dragon Punch and Seismic Crash will find Hero. Envy with the number advantage in this fight. Can Viral stay alive?
That's going to be so much for Envy in this case. 51% onto the point, 60 for Renegades. They're gonna have to try and find some way to make it back, but with through time and space still there, along with Midnight, the scouts being saved for that. I don't know if they're gonna find any opportunity in unless something like a miracle happens.
They have Shadow to go in for the touch, so that is pretty confirmed. He does manage to get in, doesn't use his ice block, and gets out, so they have a refight here, but that wall in mid, Hero has the time to wait it out. Is he close to Dome Shield? Not close enough to get it unless he gets hard-pocketed here. He is getting focused through time and space, finds him, so not a lot of tanks up to contest the point for Renegades.
And Vocal find a kill on Tarubu, but Moonchopper getting one onto Toki is going to be a lot. Forcing the Maeve back. Rock Monkey can't go in. Thanos snap out of the sky. Random Noob does go down. Shadow and the rest of Renegades are putting this pressure on. Envy can't get in. They're trying to touch. Rock Monkey goes down next. And the rest of them are trying to come in, but it's not going to be enough. And Renegades managed to get game one.
You don't know
Game three, I mean. Sorry, not game one. What? Game three.
It's their game one.
Yeah, it's their game one.
They needed this win so badly after how those last two games went, I feel. And both of these teams do rely a lot on momentum, but Renegade's able to stop that flow, flip things around.
100%.
Great play, I think, on that last fight with Moonchopper being able to touch. Good focus fire, too, on Toki. Once he was down, the sustain wasn't as there. Hero's like, we got one. We
did it.
Be a little more excited once you're at 2 or 3.
Right,
Hero.
of course.
They have a long way to go still with how good Envy's looking, but still great on them for being able to flip that, stay on their toes while being down 2-0, flip that game completely around. That is the Renegades that we need to see more of.
Yeah, I mean, there we go. The first game for Renegades currently 2-1 in favor of Envy. The game's not over yet, though. Come back right after this break.
The Paladins Premier League is brought to you by Evil Mojo, developers of Paladins.
Welcome back, guys. The Battle of Brightmarsh goes the way of the Renegades this time around. Envy so close to winning it, and then they lose 3 straight points, and Renegades find their first win in the set. The first win this week for the red side, so congrats to them. Lots of work still to be done in this set, Goremizer. Moments of good from both sides. This was kind of a brawl fest of who wanted to lose the game least there towards the end. Both teams just kind of throwing bodies on the point.
Yeah.
Fun one to watch, though.
It was actually really interesting towards the end. I mean, yesterday what we were talking about was you could lose Hero, you can lose Moonchopper around the point, and as long as Invocal and Shadow are still alive, it's going to be deadly.
Yeah.
And I think that map was a perfect example of that, where very similar to yesterday in the Jag Falls game, like for some reason map number 3 is where Renegades really want to show up, but this time they're able to kind of seal the deal on it. It's just Invocal and Shadow showing up at the moments they needed to. Early game, they weren't as loud, they weren't as vocal in the game. And this time around, right as things got like pretty hairy, Tulki, Rubu just couldn't stand against him.
95k damage, bordering on a 2 KDA. And it's that Cassie Eevee pair. You know, we mentioned Rock Monkey, Random Noob, feel super comfortable on it, but Invocal and Shadow do just the same. I mean, both of them are just as good on those two champions if they're playing their game and feeling good, which they obviously were in this one. And they were the important picks, those quick shots, getting rid of Random Noob towards the end of the game. Both frontliners for Envy picked off by the Renegades. Those small moments helped turn this one around. And now it's 2-1. I mean, you're on the verge of going down 3-0.
Yeah.
Same as yesterday. It says game 3 is, like you said, it was a 4-3 on Jag Falls yesterday. They lose, but today they get the win. Now we're going into my favorite scoreline, 2-1.
And those are those moments that, so far, again, we've noted have been the most significant. 3-0s have almost always been converted to a win for the team that gets the lead early. There's never been a reverse sweep. So for Renegades to just sink their claws in now and just say, we're not done yet, is a good sign for them.
Oh, lots of work to be done. A big uphill battle in front of the Renegades. It's going to continue on Shattered Desert. This will be Envy's pick. Obviously, Bright Marsh was not theirs. They are now completely defeated still on Bright Marsh throughout the split. Shattered Desert, though, that caters to a lot of interesting picks. You can go as plain and vanilla as you want. If you're Envy, you could still pick Cassie Eevee, and it works just as fine. But it's a map where the layout, I think the open flow of everything, really kind of leaves a lot on the table.
It's definitely a more interesting map as well, and it's just the flow of the game in this map changes pace, I feel like, every 30 seconds while you're in it, right? It just depends on who's alive, what avenue you want to take, where they happen to be defending. There's a lot of different paths, a lot of different hills. The point fight has kind of gotten a little more consistent. At the very beginning, there's a little merry-go-round, and then at some point you just look towards their base and hope that you can dismount them before they get there.
Barrack Genos for the Renegades to start off their draft here. Eevee notably banned out. Renegades are going to snag the Mave, kind of the last line of defense there in that category. Envy thinking long and hard about picks 2 and 3 here. I mean, with Genos, Barrack picked up for the Renegades. Now if you're Envy, you know, maybe you have to go at least one frontliner in this case. I mean, Khan, Ashe, Inara still around, so you're at least going to get 2 of those 3 unless Renegades opt for a triple front line, and they certainly could do that. This is a map where we've kind of seen it all. I believe we've seen a triple DPS against a triple front line battle on this map. Looking like they're going to opt for the Khan in this case, at least for one of them, and the Ashe. So of the 3 kind of high-tier remaining frontliners, it looks like they're going to end up going at least one of them if they do lock in this Khan. But I think getting the Ashe and now the Khan, smart from Envy, take away 2 of those.
And it still leaves open the strategy you were talking about. I mean, you can still go triple frontline here. Like, you could very easily just grab support plus, like, an Inara to close this one out. The dangerous game you start to play, though, is Barrack and Inara as a combo. It's pretty solid. Yesterday we saw what the Knights were able to do with it on Stone Keep. It's just that concept of Barrack does enough damage to get aggressive on his own, and if you think about it, you have Inara go to the point fight. Even if she dies, Barrack can take her place. That's kind of the best thing. Almost like a Hydra. When it loses its head, 2 more grow back, except there's only 1 more in this case.
You ready?
He's being hovered.
I don't want to
Are you kidding?
I don't want to call it before, right? He's skittish. He's very skittish. All right, so we've now captured him. Lex is in this game for the Renegades. Cassie Lex, at least 2 of the damage dealers here for the Renegades. Came into the meta amidst some of those changes, has kind of leaned out of the meta here recently. I say out, I mean he just hasn't been picked as frequently. But the Renegades are confident that he could be a difference maker on Shattered Desert.
Honestly, I think he's probably one of, like, if you remove Eevee, then you remove Mave, which Envy did. You kind of have to think, I need someone who's somewhat mobile, and Lex is pretty mobile. He can zoom around. He might not have the same kind of leaps, but his dashes as well as kind of loadout cards do allow him to move pretty quickly. And you get some hit scan. That's going to be good. You get an execute that goes through shields that can still hit Ashe and Khan. It's still going to be more than likely on Invocal to perform, but it's a solid pick.
Might be giving Moonchopper the ruckus here. With Genos at his back, it's a high damage, 1,000 death by 1,000 paper cuts, as I like to call it. Not too much damage in individual bullets, but all added up, Ruckus can kind of tear you apart here. Looking at Envy's draft, though, while Renegades are thinking of their 5th pick, Mave, Ashe, Khan, Leon, and Furia. Still something that I think works here. I think Haze on the Furia, fantastic pick for him. And I think Envy actually have a pretty well-rounded draft.
Yeah, honestly, being able to come through very comfortable, very aggressive, which is what this map kind of wants, right? Maeve, in your face. Leon might not be quite in your face, but she's going to be a big, loud noise that you have to look at. Otherwise, Maeve is going to get you.
Right. And,
well, I think the two of them in tandem are going to be deadly. Ash Khan allows you to be aggressive, but both have some pretty decent point control. And then we've seen what Mr. Hayes can do on Furia, where it's just, you know what, sometimes you got to shoulder the burden and carry him yourself.
And he certainly can shoulder that burden. Now all 10 champions locked in here. Renegades on the opposite side. Barrick, Jinus, Cassie, Lex, and Ruckus. Lex and Ruckus kind of the question marks in this case. Do you think the Renegades tie the setup?
I don't know.
Do they have a draft that could tie the setup?
I think they can do it. I don't know if they have it in them. Again, a lot of it, I think the draft can do it. It comes down to their play. I think Invocal is going to go insane. I think Shadow is going to go insane. And I think both of them are not really going to be where the issue is. It's what Barrick and the Ruckus, how well do they perform against Envy?
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun, Gore. Either you're looking at a tied set or you're looking at Envy one game away. Let's send it down to your casters and get it started.
Thanks for the desk, you guys. Now I'm really interested to see what this Ruckus has in store for us. Gore brought it up. Ruckus, question mark. Lex, a little bit of a question mark. Now, why do you feel like they could go for the Ruckus Lex on the Shadow Desert? It's because of their mobility. Is it because of their mobility?
Yeah, Ruckus is good because of the mobility. I mean, Lex is kind of just like a high rotation backline where he will play like a backline with that Death Hastens, but he's going to be just using his speed to constantly rotate and get behind you. If I had to break down what I think Renegades are going to have to do to beat this comp by Envy, which, by the way, very aggressive, I feel. I mean, Furia, Ash, Khan, that is a composition that's going to walk in team. So what I think Renegades have to do is they have to have Moonchopper on the Ruckus and lurking. He has to wait on a side that they think Envy's going to go by and try to get unseen. Once they go past him, because Renegades are going to have to keep kiting with the rest of their team because they have kind of a passive composition in general, that's when Moon will come in to pinch from behind, and then Renegades can repush. That's how I would feel you would play this composition. You could also just kind of take it into them with the Lex and the Ruckus. We're gonna have to see how they decide to get this mid start.
Yeah, but it seems like Envy's already in for the aggression, and Vocal gets picked off almost immediately. The rest of Envy knew where it was, not necessarily where they wanted to go, but I think the people they had available during that fight right there was enough to make sure they got rid of the Lex almost instantly. 21% on the point for Envy, 24 for Renegades. Is it going to be the start of some aggression?
Yeah, Moonchopper alone on the side again. Like I said, he has to kind of play this lurk angle. They have to surround them and not let them get anything with their aggression. We saw that immediate kill would keep things flipped, and it looks like they're trying to find one alone target, and Vocal's in the back. This could be a great time for them to go in, and Vocal decides it's his time to go in.
Nice.
2 quick ones for Renegades.
That's very, very good for them, especially as they got rid of the healer, and they got rid of Rock Monkey, and Random Noob. 3 of them are down. It's going to change the flow of the fight so well. It was looking a little bit questionable in the beginning, but in Vocal showing that he's ready to play, and so are the rest of the Renegades. Battle Shout gives them some immunity, but not before Shadow gets that young double kill.
Yeah, that's exactly what they had to do. Again, they moved. They started the fight as 5, just got slammed into. They lost one person, but they realized that they have to stay spread. Envy are going to stay together. They're going to try to find those picks off of their combined damage. And Renegades in Vocal finding 2 great kills in the backline, turning that fight around. Envy moving together. Again, Khan a little bit alone, but Scout's going to get their rotations figured out, so Renegades have a good start to this.
Yeah, I agree. Rock Monkey taking a little bit of a backline sort of situation. Oh, but the presence, nicely done. He's making sure that he's in that, has substantial cover with this big rock right here, trying to make sure he can actually, at least isn't in too much of a bad spot. He's getting a lot of kills along with the rest of Envy. They're making sure that they're pretty much sweeping this. Random Noob currently 0 and 2, but 2 assists, but the rest of them pretty much only have at least 1 kill on the side of Envy. Renegade did cap the point, though. With a minute 40, they still have plenty of time to make this happen.
And Renegades are regrouping here. I think they're just trying to not give away one person's position, but the dash out means that they won't have as much of an aggressive engage if Renegades decide to start surrounding them now. Looks like, again, Moonchopper there on the far right side, Shadow on the far left to try to start this surround up, and Hero just trying to survive in the middle.
Shots coming out from that. Oh, nice. They tried to void grip. Oh!
He lands on the fire on the top of the map and gets immediately burnt down. That's the first time I've seen a kill up there in an actual professional game, and unfortunately for Envy, it was Rubu.
Oh, my goodness.
What a turn for them. So unfortunate. And the ultimate is used, too. Oh, that you hate to see it, but Renegades love to. They're going to start setting up their surround for this last push, but looking at how this map is going, how the Renegades have to take these fights, this is going to be the hardest part for them because they can't get the surround that they want when Envy can stay all grouped up by their spawn doors.
Here we go with the Midnight as well. Man, just get a kill on the Moonchopper was going to be good. Overpower and make sure they grab the Genos, which was very, very well placed, well aimed as well. 2 of them are down on Renegades, 1 of them just respawning, another one, Viral, coming back up. Now that Hero's down, he's got some time to come back as well. So does Shadow, and the rest of them are running down in Vocal. Pick him off as well. Now Envy's going to start this momentum.
Renegades have a chance to do this if they can find a pick early, though.
Right.
But Envy's playing so close together, it's going to be hard for them. Again, they have to kind of coordinate their dives. This is, by definition, I think, a dive composition that Renegades have, but they just can't handle the death ball unless they find one solo target. Envy, very spread on this side. They're just all controlling this. Renegades have to play on the right side. They will have a chance to touch the objective if Envy gets distracted.
Yeah, I agree. Rockmonkey, just shot after shot right now, just trying to see if he can get something on the Vocal and onto Moonchopper. What's going to be enough. Make sure that they're at least leaving more than a little bit bruised, forced back. Man, just trying to at least get a little bit of healing to try to at least let themselves recuperate from that. Overtime is taken down, though. Now that Hero's gone, I don't know if they're going to really try to risk it to push in, but they are. Moonchopper goes down next. I don't think they should really try and contest this. I don't think they should try and go in to at least give Envy some more ult charges. They should just relax.
Yeah, and this is one of the downsides to Ruckus, too, where when you have 2 tanks, normally you would have your main tank, and if your main tank has to go back, then maybe your Ashe can come in, shield on the point, buy a little bit of time, but with Ruckus, he really doesn't buy much time at all. This was that start to the fight, Ryan Vocal teaming up with Moonchopper to find the early kills, Random having to ignore him means that he goes down as well. So again, great start to the fight. Now I hope Renegades know what the recipe for winning is. Hopefully they get all the ingredients together for their positioning, because again, last mid, they just decided to go for a head-on collision, and I really don't think that is how they want to take these fights.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either. I don't think they should really try and... Renegades should try and at least buy their time. You did mention it before, and Vocal's going to really try and go in the back and try and wait a little bit, but... Moon is definitely going to be doing it.
He has Master Riding. I just noticed. Yeah, Moon is definitely...
Oh, good point, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's definitely going to try to meet them, but Envy was already there on the side he wanted to be, so even though they are spread, Moon gets caught out first. Great start for Envy.
Yeah, Presence to try and get some damage off. Actually manages to miss it, but not before a few shots do manage to find their way. Rockmonkey with some nice precision damage right there, making sure that he actually can force them all the way back. But the rest of Envy knows there's not very many of them left, and they're just going to run and make sure they keep control of this entire section right here, the very, very outside of the right flank. Just making sure they get the damage and the kills as they need. The rest of them are now being staggered. They're in a bad spot. They have to find some way to make something happen so Renegades can find their way back onto the point.
The Void Grip at least forced out the dash, so Envy's kind of lost their rotation potential. Good flank here by Moon, but Enlightenment up. Great dodge.
Good dodge.
They still aren't able to get Rockmonkey, though. He's in relative safety. Moon was kind of alone. He had to do something to go for that touch in the objective, so unfortunate for him that he goes down there for the Renegades. They're going to need some pressure on this side, and their strength historically, something they've always done, is they love these 5-man Renegades. They love these 5-man, but wow, what an overpower by Tolkien. But the car wasn't going to be super contested here, so it's kind of just keeping them staggered. But back to my point, they love these 5-man pushes, and I feel like the composition that wants to be spread doesn't really go to their strengths. You know, I see the concept, but again, they just keep defaulting to grouping up together. This comp isn't what they want to be doing.
Right, exactly. What do you think Renegades should have really tried to go for then in this game?
This comp was the answer, but they're just playing it the way they normally play. They're not playing to spread gameplay, and as soon as they do, they're winning fights.
Right.
They're just staying away from it.
I agree with that. Oh, nice! They actually managed to not only get the Void Grip, but they also do get the kill onto Rubu. He tried to use that little archway right there to land as quickly as he possibly could. Couldn't find it, though. Combat Slide to come in. Does get a couple kills on his own hero. Does get a kill on Mr. Hayes, which is going to force Envy back. Assert dominance is there, along with Enlightenment coming up soon. Through Time and Space is the only ult that's up on Renegade's side right now. If they could place it well, it could mean a lot for them.
Yeah, they're going to have to find a good combo with it, but all their ults, they don't really have an ult 2 combo with
right,
it.
exactly.
No real CC, but through Time and Space, we'll have to catch someone immediately after a movement ability, most likely. Maybe catching Rock after his dash, but that's going to take some good placement by Viral. He's a kind of player that can make that work, though. 3 players on Envy stacking on one side, bullying out the flank, because Envy knows what Renegades have to do to beat them. So start on one side, then regroup after they've been forced back, and Renegades are forced to play their composition in the way they don't want to.
Healing is coming through from Viral. He's in a good spot right now, but the Inflame is coming through. They do want to make sure they can push this one in. 40 seconds left on the clock. Time and space. Manages to catch Random Noob. Nice placement. Very well done by Viral with Void Grip happening. No one actually got the kill on the Rock Monkey with 15 HP. That's going to mean a lot for Envy to be able to push this one in now that 2 are down on the Renegades. I don't know if the rest of them are going to be able to fight back.
Crystal having the point. Rubu getting his assert dominance off on the side. Viral wasn't quick enough on the board grip this time, but Barrack is so short. With that hill there, he's just using the cart for cover. No one can kill him. So much is staying on the point with the control on the side that Renegades have. Random diving super far to get Invocal, but he misses the daggers. Oh, they're both just kiting around each other, but Random does eventually go down in the end. 5 seconds ticking down. With a spawn advantage, Renegades should be able to hold this.
The shoulder bash will come in to make sure that Rubu can at least get something started. Contest just a little bit more to make sure his team can come in. Stall just a little longer. Khan is back now, though. Might try and get in. He does manage to get onto the point, causing more overtime, but he's forced right back off of it. 90% for the Hexifier, 81% for the Dome Shield. Through time and space is there, but we do have the Lex and Cassio.
Those last second staggers by Envy were good for Renegades because they got some ult charge up. Like Tulky really didn't need to contest. It takes so long for the spawns to get there that they bought them a lot of time here looking at the slash lines. Rock Monkey is so hard to pin down. Unless they can find him alone, I think they should just focus on the other people on the team if they can catch Rubu. Now that he doesn't have assert dominance, they can catch him after a shoulder bash or stop his shoulder bash with the Void Grip. Viral's been very good with those so far this game. Might be going Kronos 3. Master Riding, Moon knows his job.
Yeah.
Master Riding 2. Not normally a buy you actually see much anymore. Now that you can stack on the same color, a lot of tanks are going for like Cauterize End Wrecker or double blues, maybe Rejuvenate with like 3 reds depending. But Moonchopper, he knows he has to get behind unseen, and thankfully for them this time, it looks like he's going the unspotted way.
Scout comes through to make sure they can actually see where it is that Renegades is looking to go in, but Moonchopper all the way in the back. Let's get picked off first. Once again, the ultimate from the Lex is going to be a lot. Does find the pick onto Rubu, which is good for Renegades, but now they're down 2. That's not as great. Overpower and Enlightenment are there, followed by the Inflame. Overpower is missed, but Envy is still in control of the point.
Yeah, Enlightenment and Inflame being up is still really tough for Renegades to find a dive target now, because now they can't pick either Haze or Rock because they'll have an immunity for them, so they're going to have to either go for one of the tanks or Maeve, and those are not your ideal dive targets. Renegades kind of last second dive for the point. Looks like Moon did find someone in the back line. He's in there. Great through time and space.
Nice.
Gets Khan down to basically 1 HP, so they could keep up the pressure if they want to, but Moon had to die for that. That's the whole crux of their play. Dome Shield forced on point. Renegades just need to find a kill. Random might be it.
Oh, nice. They do manage to get the pop from Invocal. Make sure they do get Random Noob down, but the rest of them are just on the point. They're sticking together so well, it's hard for Renegades to find some break, but the Hexifier from Moonchopper was so good, so well placed. He's running them down, making sure they can't actually find any room to breathe.
Midnight coming in, but Flex has his wall hack ability on him, so he knows exactly where Random is, but Random's still hitting these shots. And Vocal does win the trade at the very end, thanks to the rest of his team. Assert dominance on the point will keep them alive. In it for now. Inflame coming in too. Great flank by Tulky. I don't know what just happened, but he went straight to the skybox, and Envy managed to turn the fight around.
Out of the park goes Khan, but he lands back in time to make sure his team can actually cap that. 99% on the point for Renegades. They don't manage to cap it, unfortunately, but they are only down 3-2. Renegades have been fighting so well. I said it before. You give them momentum, you give them room to breathe, and once they start knowing what they need to do per game, they can pop off so well.
Yeah, they are finally playing, I think, to the strengths of their composition. And I want to make a note of Moon's slash line.
Yeah.
That's what he should pretty much be having with this style of composition. I mean, his job is literally to go in and die. That is his whole thing. So he does not deserve any flack for that because he's doing his job. He's in. He's taking fire.
Right.
His team has to be able to follow up, and I think Envy is just stalling that momentum very, very effectively. Rock Monkey managing to catch Invocal there with the help of Random Noob in the middle, so Envy should be putting their foot on the gas pretty soon.
Yeah, they were definitely making sure that they could do what they could, but overpowered, man. Finding one on the shadows is going to mean a lot, but Hero finds one to at least make sure trade it 1-for-1. Random Noob goes down as well with some shots from Rock Monkey, trying to make sure he can break through that barrack shield and possibly get a kill, but I don't think it's going to be enough for the spot it is they're in. They have to give the aggression, the momentum to Renegades for right now.
Smart disengage by Moon, too. He kind of wanted to keep the pressure up. He was going to walk through that mid, but then he was like, I'm going to be 1v3ing, and the rest of my team is still holding. Let's pull back. So smartly, he does not take that fight. And 3 people stacking on this left side could be good for Renegades if they catch people out. But this Inflame, that's going to be a lot of damage coming in. Moon has to kite back. Viral has to do time and space. Dome Shield's still up. They're going to have to spend it with Moon going down first.
They definitely are. They have to find something, Void Grip, to make sure that happens. But Rubu comes down. The Space Jam dunks right onto the point. Through time and space, he knows Random was over there, but just a little bit off. I don't know if that's going to be enough, and I don't think it is. With Envy getting game 4 for themselves, that's going to be a lot.
Yeah,
3-1.
Yeah, 3-1 lead, and that's a good place for Envy to be in. I think they played against the pressure from Renegades pretty well. They had a great turnaround on that third mid fight, good use of their ultimates to keep things alive, even with just 2 people up there. I mean, 2 people that have the ability to become invincible even for a moment. When Renegades depend so much on that immediate kills, that immediate pressure, it was just perfect, I think, ultimate usage by Envy.
Right, I agree as well. Envy really played that to their strengths. They did what it was they could. Now that they're up 3-1, it's going to mean a lot for Renegades to have this slow, steady climb to get back up to where they were.
Yeah, and they've shown they can do it. I mean,
right,
they started that map not playing the comp well. They adapted, but they're going to have to adapt a lot more if they want to take this set.
Yeah, game 4 in the books for Envy, currently 3-1 in their favor. Envy could close it out, or Renegades can with the reverse sweep. Find out after this break.
Skillshot, the official production partner of the Paladins Premier League.
As on the back end of another Envy victory. It was a little bit more contested this time, a little bit more back and forth, but the boys in blue take the game on top of it. 3-1 now, heading into maybe the last and final map of the set, last and final map of this week. A little bit of a fight back there, Goremizer. You know, Renegades hung in there. Some moments where it looked like the Lex might carry the game, but Envy stand tall.
There were a lot of really good moments from Renegades throughout that, and I think that's kind of the biggest thing is, again, you look at Game 1, they had some good moments. You look at Game 2, a little more shaky. Game 3, they were solid. Yeah, but it's just like that moment where like they are always just there. Yeah. The problem is when it comes down to objective control, that seems to be where they're kind of paling in comparison, and that's where like Barrick has been very successful for them, but if Hero isn't getting, I guess, the support he needs, I mean, he's doing 83,000 damage. He has that going for him. But I think you're just looking at what else is going wrong. I mean, the numbers all go for them. Control goes for them. Envy just played it better.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of what we segued into the game with is, yes, the Renegades have a draft, and this is so often the case. Yeah, they have a draft that can compete, should compete. But, you know, 13-3-8 out of Rock Monkey, 8-7-11 out of Tolki, 6-5-22, I mean, out of Rubu. I mean, regardless of how well you draft, sometimes the other team ends up just playing better. At 8-7-11, though, Tolki gets his taste at a little off-tank action, normally, of course, playing that point tank. The Kana looked good for him this game. Lots of running people down, 1.9 KDA, close to 50k damage.
And that's one of the best things about Khan. It's also interesting to see Tulki kind of pick up this mantle, because again, the draft as a whole for Envy was just to be aggressive, but to even see them both, I mean, in that moment right there, you see Rubu completely ignoring the objective in a lot of these in order to gain the leg up. It's just, it is a map-specific strat, and it shows Envy not only know Shattered Desert, but they've kind of done their research and the practice on it.
It's kind of an off point, but I remember, what was Tulki playing? I don't know. Envy brought out a sort of a weird draft pick, and Tulki, I think, flexed to a different damage dealer, and I kind of asked why he was the one to flex, and he was like, honestly, I don't even think of myself as a frontliner. I think of myself as an ultimate flex. Whatever my team wants me to play, whatever they want me to play in any given game is what he plays. It just happens that they need him to be playing frontline week after week. So, you know, the extension to the Khan, the extension to maybe some DPS, not that outlandish, I think, for Tulki.
We still live in a realm where maybe Envy can go for the 5-man DPS lock-in. It's never going to happen, but you never truly know.
It won't. Map's coming in for map 5. I'm saying Ice Mines. It is Ice Mines. Goremizer,
What a shock.
It's been an interesting twist on the classic Ice Mines, because, you know, when we first started, specifically in the last split, Ice Mines was always 4-2, 4-3, 4-1 was probably the fastest we saw. Now I feel like I'm seeing more quick, fast 4-0s in all of our leagues than I have been ever before. Maybe teams are just learning how to play faster, learning how to push better on this map.
Yeah, I think that's what it is people have figured out the push. And that's honestly, like, that's the thing that will stall a map out the longest. I mean, you still have, I would argue, some of that with Ascension Peak, some of that with Warder's Gate. People just haven't figured out how to convert that to find themselves a 4-0. Ice Mines is coming up a lot more often. Granted, right now, Renegades are the ones bringing it up a lot more often, but it's coming up because people have figured that out. We saw that, I think, the most evidence in VP Envy last week, where it was just very, very quickly done from Virtus Pro. And this is actually one of those maps, another one. So this is the 5th time in their sets that Renegades have picked Ice Mines.
Yeah.
And the 4 times previous to this, they only won 1.
So they are 1-3 on Ice Mines coming into this one here. They played it yesterday against the Knights. They lost there 4-1. Their draft yesterday, somewhat standard. You throw in Ash, Drogos, Barrack, Zin, and Maldamba. So the Zin was somewhat interesting, but actually I think it was the brightest spot on the NV lineup yesterday was Invocal on the Zin. I thought it looked great, honestly, on Ice Mines. NV ban out the Victor, obviously something that Invocal can play as well, so not super surprising. NV did play Ice Mines against NIP last week, opted for Atlas, Barrack, Ying, Cassie, Bomb King, so that's always potentially there. Atlas for Renegades, though, not going to be the first pick. Looking like it's Khan. They do have 2 picks here, so they could go Khan Atlas. I was concerned slightly for a moment, but this would be a strong start, a fast start to the front line. You don't often get to see Atlas. You might see him here, though. I don't want to dive too much into the emoji in the sense that they will probably swap off, but I think Atlas is maybe a must pick here.
I can't imagine a world where you don't pick Atlas.
Okay.
I was gonna say, like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm already astounded that Willow went over the Atlas here, showing something. I mean, Envy have been banning her a lot this set. I think, you know, there's been 1, 2, 3 Willow bans. Last game they didn't do it. Map 2 they didn't do it. So 2 Willow bans that have come out from them, and it's just, what strength does she have? And more of the question really falls onto, how good is she in Shadow's hands? And that's really where the answer lies, is Shadow is ridiculously good with Willow.
Yeah.
She's also really good on Ice Mines. I think yesterday the Knights kind of showcased that. If you get Willow on this map, pop your Fae Flight, that converts your payload for you. Not every single time, but a lot.
I mean, good enough to first pick over an Atlas, if nothing else.
At least in Envy's eyes.
Envy have locked it in. Cassie, Ash are going to round out the next 2, putting Rock Monkey back on the Cassie. Essentially an automatic win button in games 1 and 2 this set, where Rock Monkey on one of his favorite champions. Willow, though, for Random Noob, that's going to be a strong look, something that they'll look to convert into victory here. Of course, 1 game away from sealing out this set on Ice Mines. Now, Renegades have a little bit to play with. Likely 2 damage dealers and a healer rounding out their side. Genos is gone, so I would assume a Furia for one of the 2 teams. Renegades have liked it. Viral's looked good on it. A Pip, though, for Shadow. Could be an interesting look as well.
It's definitely, again, another pick that does really, really well on this map. Not necessarily one that stands out in my mind as perfect for the Renegades, but it's not really negative for the Renegades either. But they do shift away to something that I think is a little more Ice Mine-centric in the Bomb King. And it might not have the same impact as a good Evil Mojo can, but I think a good King Bomb can be just as good, if not better, in some cases.
They got the blue and gold squad on the Renegade side, all of them matching, at least color scheme-wise. Unfortunately, Genos banned out. That would have been the perfect way
fight to protect the sanctity
for the
of
Skinner G to
wild.
round that one out. Envy, though, 5 up, 5 down for them. Willow, Cassie, Ashe, Ying, and Nara will be their 5. I'm not going to get baited into it this time. I will go to the IO if it ends up getting picked here. Envy, I think a pretty solid 5 draft from them. Ying, very good in the hands of Hayes. Lots of good point control with the Ashe and Nara. They're going to have their hands full on the front line, though, against Khan and Atlas.
Yeah, it is going to be very difficult, but she is locked in here.
All right,
And now-
Gormizer.
So
IO.
here's the thing. She's locked in with the Furia, which in my eyes
Yes.
means that she's going to be maybe looking more towards DPS. So talent choice, loadout,
Yeah.
like there's so much that can
It's
be
up in
open
the
with
air.
her.
Right. It's going to be exciting to watch. You're
This is gonna be
absolutely
fun.
right. I mean, the talent choices in that video, that pregame video, supports were somewhat up in the air. Here's a situation where she could be good, and here's a situation kind of as a secondary healer. You know, hybrid damage healing was one of the kind of overwhelming opinions where she could fit, and that's exactly where she is right now. Talent choice up in the air. There were a few that people, I think, thought might be better than others. We're absolutely going to have to look at the loadout. But our first instance of Io, this is the first week she's available. Maybe the one and only game we'll get to see her in here this week. This is going to determine her win rate. Casters, have some fun.
I feel like Anakin Skywalker in that meme where he's like, "This is where the fun, this is where the
where the
fun
fun
starts."
begins?
Yeah, this is where the fun
Okay.
starts. Yeah, that's what I feel like right now. I'm so glad that we're able to see Io.
I gotta
Us
say,
popping
though,
off in the casters.
I predicted the Io when I saw the
You
Con
did, you
Atlas.
did.
When I
I'll
saw
give you
Con
credit for that.
Atlas, she right now, her role in the meta most likely is going to be off support, pocketing one very powerful off tank to make up for the lack of damage that she has. So
Right.
you're gonna see maximum movement speed. She's going to be running Goddess's Blessing more than likely, and then other things that just kind of help her sustain or help her heal you more.
Right.
Invocal is going to be healing Moonchopper probably most of the game. Bomb King also on Shadow, a valid target, letting him cross the map. Her best spot is going to be any place where that 40% speed actually matters. And Ice Mine's mid is pretty small. If you're moving 40% faster, you're crossing it absurdly quickly.
Yeah, for sure. We already see her sieging up. Does drop Luna down immediately. Just trying to make sure that they are up. Just have a little bit, not only of body blocks, she can really cover herself, trying to make sure. She wants to be in the back here. Doesn't want to push up too far. Pocketing that Khan, making sure that he does not go down, which allows him to 1v2 in that scenario. The arrows are going to give her a little bit of moonlight back, a little bit faster. No kills yet, but the fight is starting to look a little bit in favor of Renegades, maybe?
It's going back and forth. Moon's in very deep, but Io got his blessing, able to get him out. Hero finding a pick on Tulki. I was given a face because I wasn't sure about Hero playing Atlas. I would think it would normally be the main tank that plays the Con, but Moonchopper more comfortable on that, so Hero now going to get pocketed to run into this Ashe. He has the setback to not go away, and it's going to be very hard to deal with this speed-boosted, damage-resistant Atlas. Going to be all over Tulki, forcing him out, but Fayflight might flip things for Envy here.
Oh yeah, for sure. But the Lunar Leap to make sure she can get out of that situation. The divider goes up, make sure Atlas cannot die, at least in that very small instance, keeping him alive just a little bit. Now the healing pocket is happening right now. 42% on the point. Renegade 63 for Envy.
Yeah, I've heard stories about Invocal's first time he played Io. I heard he did not use Luna for 2 points.
Oh wow.
But he has clearly learned the champion. He grinded it after that. I've noticed he has clicked the button that summons Luna, so we have seen an improvement. He is pocketing Moon right now, pressuring this side. This, again, is what Io really wants to do. She wants to be fighting this side. Luna on the point now will allow them to keep that cap pressure up without having to throw a tank away at it. Luna is half, but it's a big target to focus this early in the game.
Rockbucket getting the kill on Shadow is going to mean a lot, but Luna sitting on that point, being one of the members that can contest it. Throws it right off the side. Rock Monkey is down, but they want to go for Io. They want to make sure she's alive, but the healing just keeps her alive just a little bit longer, but she still does go down. Unfortunately, Hero goes down as well, followed by that Moonchopper being one of the last ones alive along with Viral. But it's not going to be enough.
one of the longest mid-fights on Ice Mines I've ever seen, but Renegades do lose it in the end. I think good aggression by Envy. They were able to walk in initially off of that overpower. They got some picks when they overextended. You still kind of have to find the line you can walk with IO, where exactly how much that 25% damage reduction is going to matter. So, Shadow being able to get pocketed here, maybe peek a little longer than he'd like to, and messing with your timings internally, especially if she loses line of sight for 1 second, is going to make things really hard decision-wise.
Right, exactly. Fly goes up, tries to put some pressure on Navarro, but Random Noob's eating a lot of damage with the healing from Ying was just enough to keep himself alive, keep himself out of it, but he's still going to hold this corner right here, trying to make sure he can get some damage onto Viral, onto Atlas, a few others, keeping him zoned out while the rest of the payload pushes.
Great setback by Hero there, actually.
Yeah.
Send Ruben back on the side, but still things holding strong here. Shadow actually kind of fighting it alone up top, and as long as Invocal has line of sight on him, it's going to be pretty good for him too. Yep, getting pocketed right now, 25% damage reduction, making it very hard for that battle to happen. So he's able to keep this kind of solo zone, but Hero getting knocked down on that side. Ooh. Oh, never mind, he set back. So
okay.
That works out, but still, I was going to say, that's a lot of room opened up, but Illusory Rift means they can keep that space controlled.
Yeah, stunned just for a little bit, thanks to Luna. Just keeps the Ashe just pretty much up on that bridge, trying to make sure she doesn't actually get through that. Hero is watching top, trying to make sure no one can really flank around, but the Inflame comes through, and that will be the start of the King Bomb. He wants to go through, drops immediately down, pops himself in the sky, keeps himself above ground just to make sure that he can do a little bit of what he can. Gets a lot of damage on the Toki. Random Noob and Toki go down.
Is that like your pet name for how you've been friends with Toki for a while?
Yeah, I guess.
Toku. No,
Toku.
There was a good attempt at a wall on the card to try to catch Shadow in. Good flick there by
nice.
Vocal.
Good flick.
I told he's been grinding out.
Yeah.
There was a good attempt at the wall on the card, but the card did break it, as it does do as soon as the wall touches it almost in any way. So Toki going down, not able to get that staggered kill, and a very strong, aggressive start here. Start to this zone by Renegades. They want to get a staggered kill, but Toki's the target. He might not be the one they want to target down here.
Yeah, for sure. Seismic Crash will come through. Man, Moonchopper finally killing a Random Noob, but Rock Monkey got rid of their hero. It's going to be a lot. And they're also stuck there on the wall to make sure that Ashe and the rest of them can do what they can, but they're trying to make sure they can get the kill on Toki. They do find the kill on him, and Vocal bopped back just a little bit. He's trying to move as best as he can, trying to make sure he can get out of there, but Mr. Hayes does finish off the kill.
Great kiting by him, and everyone else on Renegades was able to stop them from getting through to the card. So, quick ending, 1-1. This is what we're used to seeing on Ice Mines, things kind of stalling out on these pushes in Renegades. Great aggressive zone to keep that going. Originally I was questioning the dive by Renegades that hard into the backline, but Hero was able to do enough to lock things down. Otherwise, Viral finding some good confirms here. Furia's damage, you can't really ignore it. That's one of the reasons why her and Io are a good combination.
Right.
Furia has the sustain and the damage. Io has okay damage, but her sustain is unmatched. So I have a feeling they're going to be a strong duo in these weeks to come.
Yeah, I agree as well. Can't wait to see next week either. That's going to be something really crazy when Nip actually get their hands on it too.
Yeah, they're a team that's always been willing to experiment with stuff, so I'm expecting we're going to see some crazy stuff once they get their hands on the Lunar Goddess herself. But right now, ultimate-wise, the Renegades have the Exile, Overpower, Be Gone from Io. Want to see how they use that. Maybe they start Io in Barn to try to get somebody off the edge, pushing on that stage area, but more ultimates in the hands of Envy. You can see them avoiding the dismounts from the Ying so strong in this map because of that. And Fifight's going to start here. Moonchopper just showing up now thanks to the dismounts, and we'll see how they take this.
Luna being set up right there to make sure that she can, for those who actually who don't know, Luna is out there, but she's pretty much like a turret. She fires these little projectiles, does what she can, but unfortunately, Overpower does not go through. But this is where she wants to be. She wants to be in the back. She wants to have good line of sight on one of the off tanks, on Khan, to make sure she can not only boost him up, but give him that DR.
Yeah, and actually, the way that Envy's playing, they're kind of hiding from Invocal, which means he can't recharge his Moonlight very effectively.
Right.
His build is focused on getting those hits, and his Moonlight keeps him alive too, but Fly from Random on the side, flanking Hero. Hero doesn't see him. Great assert dominance here on the high ground, catches Invocal. 1-for-1 though so far. If they can find Random, this could go towards Renegades.
Yeah, that would be a battle shout, just a little bit to give himself some time. Oh, he almost fell off. That gave me a heart attack. You didn't see me at Kresnik, but we went like, what? Like,
I was scared for Random, but I mean, we know he's been playing these blasters for a very long time. He knows the limits of his characters. He can't use the cooldown while he's flying, so he definitely had it up, but I caught my breath for a moment there. Envy taking that point off the back of some great ultimate usage, I think, Rubu, fantastic assert dominates onto the high ground, and now they're contesting them tight on this corner. I don't know if the damage reduction is enough, but this pinch from Hero could let Renegades get aggressive.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely want to make sure they get rid of this Atlas. Don't want him to control that side. He shot out the rewind to make sure he can get something going. Seismic Crash, but doesn't find anyone. Everyone on Renegades backed off at just the right time. Nicely done by them. Luna is there, right behind that little crate right there. If Toki tries to push up, only way he get focused down by the rest of Lunagades. That's what I'm calling them now. Yeah, that's like what it feels like. Lunagades. Going to focus down the rest of Lunagades in that case and make sure they actually can't get to the point. Moonchopper finding kill on random noob is going to be enough, though, to get something started.
Yeah, and a good pocket by Invocal, too, getting Moon in and now out. They can't really get the kill on him with that speed. He's very hard to pin down. Invocal got flanked, but jumped away. I think Rock also dying on that backline. Moon is just an absolute force on this point with this support from the Goddess's Blessing. Right now, Renegades are going to look to take this pretty aggressive. Tolkien walls himself off, so they can't really chase him down, but Renegades are locking them in this choke point. And this used to be the Ice Mines classic, just stopping them in this corner before the gate opened. Now there's more options, but still a very powerful place to control.
Right, exactly. Is dropped. And Shadow really trying to do what he can. Goes out Grumpy Bomb to try and zone them out. Try and move them out of the way. Does get a stun, but it's not going to be enough to make sure that obviously no pick happens. No one's low enough on the side for that to matter. They have Illusionary Rift, Fae Flight, Inflame, IO's Be Gone move is there, and the Overpower.
Yeah, Inflame actually coming in to maybe counter the Fae Flight, but Random's hiding. He knows what's going on. Illusory Rift to keep him alive as well, as he keeps spam up. But great damage coming in very quickly by Renegades. Moon not able to be saved by the Goddess's Blessing, and a good wall to keep everyone in, and Vocal might not make it out. Caught by Rock Monkey, and now Renegades have to disengage here, but Envy are keeping their foot on the gas.
Yeah, I mean, they found their pick just like Hero found his, but they are still moving forward. Envy doing a really good job at controlling this high ground, controlling the space it is that they actually need to. Getting some damage on Arubu, forcing him to make sure that he doesn't peek out, at least for just a little bit. Moonchopper going in to finish off the kill as well. Rock Monkey forced a little bit back. Grumpy Bomb just thrown out there for Toki and Rock Monkey to force them off.
I mean, this is really bad timing for Envy to lose this fight as well, because even though they lost it, like the fight was lost kind of cleanly for them, it's still so close that now Tolkien's going to have to feed on the card. Immediately goes down to the damage coming in from Viral. So Renegades, solid defense there. Random, I'm assuming this is either him saving himself off the edge or just good damage from the Fae Flight. But the Willow is being a factor. I mean, double support. That dead zone equalizing that healing is really hard to do. I mean, when you're relying on that level of healing, having it just completely shut down at random times are really good. That was actually even closer than I thought it was.
It was.
Good on Random there. Good knowledge of how far his characters can go, especially after those changes to the movement itself.
Yeah, agreed. Slash lines in the favor of Team Envy: 7-3, 2-3, 4-4-3, 2-1, 2-4. All of them are pretty good. They have
a lot of numbers.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, my master brain, my galaxy, my brain is expanding. The more numbers I say, the smarter it is.
We actually had to take the chair out of the booth so far.
Yeah, it's true.
Sit on his brain throne.
Brain phone.
Brain phone. You can sit on either. It really doesn't matter. But going into the mid fight, assert dominance in Scout and Seismic Crash up. A lot of CC up for Envy, but Renegades might have enough resilience to deal with it. Looks like an early start by Renegades, though. They don't want to let Envy's ult be effective.
Yeah, definitely not either. Shadow has to go all the way around. Just that presence that King Bomb was there was enough. And they all are forced back. He doesn't exactly go in, but they are setting up for a flank right now. Overpower. Rubu going right off the side, but assert dominance right after that. Now, he did it almost immediately to make sure that he did not go off that side. They cannot afford to lose this fight right now. 2-2, 24% for Renegades, 12% for Team Envy. It's going to be just enough to make sure that they don't actually go down this fight.
That actually shows the strength of resilience against Overpower too, because you normally don't think it, but like you go a little less further, but you can also act faster out of the stun from the throw. Without that, he might not have been able to make it back in time. So good for that. Inflame coming in for Renegades. They want to get this retouch. Will they even have a chance? Hero barely gets them beyond the veil. Might want to come in with Exile. Looks like it's going to have to be Moon because Hero gets forced to rewind.
He has to rewind himself, trying to make sure that he can do something. The Exile is there and gets one shot. 1, 2, potentially. Exile's there. Toki is on the point to try and see if he can stay just a little bit longer, but Shadow getting the kill on Mr. Hayes is going to be huge.
They're actually completely behind them. Great flank by him, finding 2. Moonchopper finds another as well. Great retake by them. I have a feeling that Goddess Blessing DR was what made it impossible to focus on anybody down. They're staggering Toki here, but 39% and climbing for the Renegades. Oh, wait, he's waiting for Luna. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
I was going to say, like, wake up, dude. You got something to do, but Luna used. So now, again, they mentioned this in the video, 5-man zone. They can be in their face, and zoning is so important on these Ice Mines mids when there's only one way to go.
Right, exactly. There's not really any room for Team Envy to just get in at this point. We've seen it so many times on Ice Mines. Once you have the momentum, that is pretty much it. Doesn't determine whether you can actually push in the point entirely, but it will be enough to potentially net you a lot of percentage onto the point. They were able to capture it. Renegades are now pushing in. The rest of Envy have to find some sort of breath of fresh air. Seismic Crash throws it out. The spear manages to get the stun, but it does net them 2 kills. Try to get a kill on Toki, but it's not going to be enough.
Great flank by Toki through the short pathway there. Starts that fight for Envy. So really quick flip. This is what you want, because now Envy can burn a ton of time if they get forward enough here. And also, goodbye Invocal to remember to go back to the point.
Yeah.
I've definitely thought that like once Luda gets capped, one team would just be like, we got it, let's keep going, and nobody goes back. But
yeah.
They knew, they spoke about it. They, like I said, they are prepared to play this IO here. And Renegades are also ready to go with an Inflame Exile combo coming in and catching Rubu.
Oh yeah, for sure, but nice rewind, puts him right back. I don't want you to go over there. You stay over here now. You belong here. Puts him right back to the point of where it was he just asserted dominance from. They managed to get the kill on him and Rock Monkey, which is going to be a lot, especially if Toki goes down, which he does. Mr. Hayes might be next with the menu. He is as well. And now Faithflight, well, not Faithflight, but the Willow does go down. 3 individuals are dead on Envy's side. It's going to be enough for them to net the point. And there we go. Look.
But it got pushed out of the way. So
okay, all right.
From what I understand, you can't leave it on top of the cart. You have to leave it
just in front
of the cart. So
yeah,
it's
you have
pushed.
To, right.
So any corner means that it won't be able to go forever. But overpowered by Moonchopper to start this stagger for them. They want to get this forward control so they can start spamming down at their spawn. They don't have the best backliney composition. They're not going to be able to get those long-range picks, but the faster they can get into a dominant position, the faster they can start taking it into their face.
Yeah, that is going to mean a lot for Renegades. King Bomb and Be Gone are both up for IO and Bomb King. 40 seconds left on the clock for Renegades. 3 points are available, which is good for Renegades, but now that Shadow went down, that's going to be a hard-fought battle for them.
Yeah, Faithflight though to flip this, so now they might not have this on mid, but this ultimate does charge pretty quick. Random very thirsty for Invocal, manages to get not as far enough in as he would like to, so Invocal will likely get away here. Fury is dash back, hitting Random as well, but not enough to keep him down. And now Renegades just have to go down quickly, or they just run away and try not to feed ultimates. But again, losing a fight at this time is so hard for the attacking team. There's just no way to get back in. Ice Mines is just too long of a map.
Yeah, you see Viral being pushed all the way back, but the damage, 2 good sticks from Shadow do actually manage to make it good enough for them. He's trying to dodge, weave as best he can, but it's not enough for Renegades to be able to.
I just couldn't believe that he didn't get dismounted there.
Yeah,
Tulki was.
I saw your face.
Yeah, Tulki was already fighting somebody, so he didn't notice him go by. And Nara has a big delay between her shots, so hard to react just in time. But Shadow, I'm thinking this has got to be his flank on the mid.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
was so influential at flipping this fight. He just completely owned that fight for the Renegades. And this retake wouldn't have happened, I think, without his positioning. Yeah, here it is, straight through Barn, hopping up here, catching up Mr. Hayes. He has no idea where he is. And man, the ability for Renegades to get aggressive with this IO pocket is so high. They really gain a lot from that. And also, Envy can't focus down a target. If that person gets Goddess Blessing immediately, that's a lot of DR. Invocal, Master Riding 3. That is another Ice Mines classic. We're getting all the throwbacks on this map today.
You know, Toki being the only one on Envy's team that actually has the Bulldozer, which I believe that you really only need, I guess if Anar is right there, you really only need, since the position of Luda is normally out in the open, or at least good enough for them to have line of sight of her, they can burn her down well enough.
Now shoot those sticky bombs, man. And they tried to do a combo there, but a really quick initiation by Ash kind of flips it. Illusion takes the rest of that inflame, but they have to just disengage. Rock Binding 2, this could have been better for Renegades if they had had point time, but they didn't. 51 right now, and Renegades are going to get staggered. This is really tough for them.
Yeah, that is going to be a lot, man. Oh, man, they do end up going down. It's going to be so hard for Renegades to come back. Even if they can make it, they might be able to. Not quite sure, though.
Wasn't short. They did find him, though. He has to be gone on Rock, but that doesn't do enough damage. Lunar Leap gets caught.
Oh, no.
Lunar dies as well, so immediate turn by Envy. They do take this set, kind of anticlimactically, but that's Ice Mines with a good zone. You know, Invocal had the chance to do it, but could not get it in time. Good foresight by Rock to check that short. That was kind of the only option that Renegades had if they were going to get the retouch.
I mean, but you can't count the Renegades out. They did well all games today. All games they played well. They did what they could. They didn't get completely like 4-0'd or anything like that. They definitely had the fight. They definitely were there. They played extremely well. No reason to count them out. And can always appreciate an IO pick.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's showing what she's going to be able to bring to this meta, because I felt it did pretty decently. Again, it's going to be low on the damage, but yeah, Envy Renegades, they've been playing each other for a long time. A few new players in and out, but I mean, everybody in this scene knows each other pretty well. So some hugging around. Renegades, they did put up a fight, as you said. They brought out some new strategies. And hopefully we can see them again come back to that first week form that they brought this phase.
Yeah, I mean, man, you hate to see it happen, but it does unfortunately happen. Sometimes it be like that, but
They really do.
It really do be like that. Renegades actually managed to go down 4-1. Envy clutches it out just on Ice Mines. They did extremely well. Just overall, we're gonna throw it right back to the desk to close us out.
Well, a fun, kind of quick set ends up coming to a close here. 4-1 is the final set score. Envy do it pretty convincingly, actually one of the longer Ice Mines that we've seen, 7-point Ice Mines. Envy, though, they win the day, a little bit of tumultuous there down the stretch, but they seal it up, end their week with a win. Unfortunately, Gormizer, that means that the Renegades escape this week 0-2.
Yeah.
Rough week from them. They go 8-1 in total on the week, 4-0 yesterday, 4-1 today. We got to see some IO. There was we'll reflect on this Ice Mines game before looking at the big picture. In Vocal on the IO, what did you think?
I think she's going to have a spot, and I can't wait to see where she ends up. I think, obviously, looking at the healing numbers, between Violent and Vocal, being able to topple down Mr. Hayes, granted, since they were fighting kind of, I want to say, behind a lot of that game, even though there were moments where they were in control. It almost always felt like Envy had the steering wheel. That's going to be good. I think going into the future, she's going to be good, but it kind of felt very, I'm going to heal you, and then the damage was an afterthought instead of you're going to carry and then heal.
Sure.
So I'm interested to see if she continues this like hybrid. We're going to put her on a carry and see if they can heal, or if they're going to maybe shift her over to a full-time support.
I loved watching. There was the one moment, one of the mids that Renegades won, and it's a perfect example of the power of IO. They stuck the Wolf on the point, and then 5 men went out to zone, and Envy didn't have a shot back into it. Unfortunately, that was one of the only bright spots in this game for the Renegades. Envy, Rock Monkey, Random Noob. Tail is oldest time in this case. They do it just the same here.
I mean, I want to say, like, not only do you see Rock Monkey just blowing things out of the water here, knocking them out of the water, knocking them out of the park, whatever you want to say, he was very consistent this set, which is obviously a huge positive for Envy. But also, I mean, we were kind of tentative about, man, first pick Willow over the Atlas going into this game, right? It's just, there was a couple of things confusing about Envy's strat, and that was the one going into it. It's like, I hope this Willow does a lot, and then Willow did a lot.
Yeah, it's one of the few cases, I think, of where Random Noob is completely out. I mean, I say out DPSing Rock Monkey. It was like 10k damage or something like that. But
nope, completely. It just
out
blows
him. It just obliterates him. No, it was a fun game to watch, though. And like I said, I mean, as of this game being over, of course, SSG are going to have some games to make up. So game number-wise, we're not, a third of the way through the season. But looking purely at weeks, we're a third of the way there. We're starting our midway approach, and then our downhill swing into HRX. It was a fun one today, though. As always, we're going to have a couple victors standing by for an interview.
Hey guys, welcome. Good job overall today from Team Envy. Now, I feel like I need to ask this question. This is more so like a general question. Like the Renegades, they played really, really well today. They did what it was that they could. How do you guys feel going into the matchup originally expecting to play against Renegades?
They're kind of a predictable team a little bit, so we kind of knew what maps they like and stuff like that. So we knew if we play our game, we're the better team. So it's pretty much what we did. We just wanted to play our game and show up today.
And I wanted to ask a specific question about strategy on Shattered. I loved the way you guys were like kiting away from them or playing together to try to deny that dive. Was that your game plan from the start, or was it something you had to adapt as the map went on?
Based on the draft, we knew they're probably going to pick Ruckus. And when we denied the Eevee pick, we just know if we stop the Ruckus dive, the game will be a lot easier. So that was pretty much the strategy behind it.
Of course, now I have to ask the question. We saw her today. We didn't see her yesterday. IO, how do you guys feel about her in this matchup? Not necessarily in the matchup against you guys, but the DR pocket, the 25% damage reduction is very, very big. How do you guys feel like she will be played in the coming weeks?
We didn't really like the DR legendary, but we were thinking sacrifice a bit and play her as a DPS. But, with the buffs coming next patch, you might see her, but I don't think you're going to see her a ton on this patch. But, maybe. We were going to try and pick it today if we got a good map for it and get the first win. But, we didn't get a chance to do that.
Yeah. Well, I was actually also curious about just in general about how things were really coming into play. Did you guys foreshadow? Well, we talked about it a little bit. Did you guys see the IO possibly coming out of Ice Mines?
I wasn't expecting on Ice Mines. We didn't think it was that great of a map for her, but I hovered IO, and I think it was Bright Marsh because I was trying to foreshadow that we were going to try and get IO's first win, but then they took it. Well, they took the IO from us, so we couldn't. But
I don't think we would have picked it.
No, probably not.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming to us from this interview. Congratulations on your win, 4-1. We're really, really excited to see what you guys have in store for us for the coming weeks. Let's throw it right back to the desk to close this out.
Thank you.
It was a fun one. Thanks for them for sitting down with us, talking a little bit about their matchup. Lots of information to take away, though.
I've got some good news.
Yeah.
Technically, IO's first win in the PPL is still on the table for whoever wants to take
That's
it.
true.
So
It's
Envy
still
don't
up
have
for
to be
grabs.
too distraught about it not being
Unfortunately, the first loss in the PPL no
there.
longer.
Nope, that's been given away.
It was a quick week, though. Just 2 sets this week. One yesterday, one today. Renegades playing in both of them. Big 4-0 for the Knights yesterday. Big 4-1 for Envy today. Honestly, looking back at yesterday, in a way, it's a statement game for the Knights. I'm constantly surprised. I kind of ask Cuss, like, do you feel like the team is ahead of schedule, on schedule? Where do you feel like the improvement is? Because it's always what you got growing pains bringing in a couple new members. You seem to think they were on schedule. They look like they're on schedule. And it's going to be a lot of fun to see where it all plays out as we look at the standings, of course. And I say that leaning into this because, I mean, the Renegades on a good day can compete with anyone. They beat Na'Vi. But the top 1 through 7, I mean, you could even argue 1 through 8, they could all beat one another.
Yeah, honestly, I'm leaning right now more towards the 1 through 7. I think Renegades on a good day absolutely can take a set, but the problem is it seems like they might have used up their good days already as it stands right now. But I mean, the biggest numbers on here that I'm looking at, really, it's the 12-5, 12-7 between Na'Vi and Envy.
Yes.
Those are going to probably become important as the kind of weeks start to close out towards the World Championship. And the same thing's going to be between Kanga and Knights right now. I think it's 6-11, 6-13.
Yeah.
Those are incredibly close to being able to come through. I think it was -7, -21 for their map differential. So there's still going to be that, but the Knights are very close to overtaking and passing.
It's like three very close chunks that could all kind of swap one another. It's a fun week. Let's see what we got in store for you guys next week. See how those standings may swap around. NIP, Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro probably the best 8 and 9 team I think we've got. Not a Vincier Kanga to round out that day. NIP VP is going to be great. And then immediately the next day, VP Na'Vi, and then Kanga NIP. Talk about a gauntlet week. You face NIP and then immediately into Na'Vi. This is a test for Virtus Pro.
Hardest 2 days, I think, that you could have in a split.
Or Kanga, both of them. It's not like Na'Vi are playing NIP. It's Kanga.
If you are
swap.
a team that wears orange, this is the worst week for you to have to come through because no matter what, you're going to be trying to beat the number 1, the number 2. I think, honestly, it begs the question, like, who can you prepare for the most? Like, I mean, those are 2 teams that you want to spend almost the entire time being able to come through. Luckily, I would say for Kanga and for VP, they've had some time off, so they'll be able to spend this week prepping for next week, but they're going to need it.
Imagine the flip, though. You play Na'Vi one day, very controlling, aggressive, but they control the point, stick lazy there, have some fun, and then immediately turn around the next day against an opposite composition in NIP that want to just run at you, swing at you. I hesitate to ask, is there one specific matchup that you look at? Maybe Virtus Pro's games. Do you think it's a big week for Virtus Pro next week?
I think it's going to be bigger for Virtus Pro, mainly because I think they have a lot of potential to actually beat at least one of the 2. Like, I don't know if they can come out 2-0, but I know they can come out 1-1, and that is kind of what's tantalizing because I don't know which team they beat out of the 2 of them.
I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a fun week, though. That's going to do it for us here, the PPL, this week. It was a lot of fun. Renegades, unfortunately, falling 0 for 2 on this week. Envy and the Knights, though, grabbing themselves some wins. Make sure to tune in Monday. We got the Console League coming back, but until then, we'll see you.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Premier League.